Chapter 434. Muronging frowned. Taoist Wuji is an expert and his skills are not inferior to mine. Why did he make such a big fuss and invite me and Shaolin's great master Yusu? In the martial arts world, face was always the most important thing. Although this Taoist Wuji was a plain person, as the sect leader of a large sect, he was still someone who cared about face. If only a single demon sect leader came to find him, he should be able to deal with it himself. But now, he had invited two experts of the same level. This was a bit out of Murongying's expectations. If he had only invited himself, Murongying could understand. To tell you the truth, our sect leader has been ill recently. The young Wudang disciple said with some worry. The elders have used many pills, but they have not been able to help the sect leader recover. Taoist Wuji is already 130 years old. Muronging was speechless. Although Wudang's environment is peaceful, you should still send him to the hospital. How can a person from the outside go to a place like a hospital? Moreover, our sect leader does not believe in the Western barbarians. The Wudang disciple explained. Moreover, Wudang has its own medical center and elders who are proficient in the art of Huang Lao. He is quite stubborn. Muronging sighed. Chinese medicine had its principles, and Western medicine naturally had its own way of existence. People could not blindly believe in one thing. This was what Muronging believed. I hope that Taoist Wuji will be safe and healthy. Thank you Alliance Head Murong for your blessings. Sect leader will definitely recover. The two ordered some food, but Muronging was clearly not in the mood to eat. Alliance Head Murong, you have been riding for a day and a night, why haven't you eaten anything? I have a habit. When someone stares at me, I can't get used to eating. Although Alliance Head Murong is beautiful, I am not staring at you. This young Taoist's words were quite sweet. Muronging glanced to the side. I am not talking about you. The one looking at me is someone else. Are they the two barbarians who took photos? The young Taoist priest's gaze fell on the two blonde tourists next to him. The two of them were eating while constantly taking pictures with their cameras. It was obvious that they were also very interested in an oriental beauty like Muronging. The cameras frequently took care of her. Just two tourists. Muronging picked up the teacup and sniffed it. Then, she placed it in her mouth and took a sip. This tea is not bad. Although it is a little bitter, it has a sweet taste after suffering. Why do you say that, Alliance Master? The tea leaves from such a small place are all inferior goods. How is it not bad? If it's not bad, then why is the man next to him holding onto the teacup and refusing to let go? As soon as Muronging said that, three tourists in casual attire who were drinking tea at the table next to them suddenly pulled out three cold steel knives from under the table. This trick is really too old. Muronging sighed. Can't you try something new? The three saber men pounced on Muronging. The young Wudang disciple was immediately alarmed. He was about to stand up and draw his sword to fight with them. But Muronging pressed his hand down, and the two guards behind Muronging moved. The two guards looked exactly the same, except that one had a golden earring and the other had a silver one. The two of them stretched out their hands at the same time, and the treasured swords on their backs were unsheathed with a whoosh. The two of them pointed at the same time, and two treasured swords, one gold and one silver, flew out at lightning speed. In an instant, they swept across the throats of the three bladesmen. The three machete men immediately fell into a pool of blood. The two foreign tourists were still clapping their hands. Outer Rigud. The performance was too wonderful. Why Rui why good. The gold-silver swordsman truly lives up to his name. The little Taoist said enviously, it's said that the gold and silver swordsman beside Alliance Master Murong is unparalleled in the world. Today, I've finally seen it. It can't be considered unparalleled. After all, they are also two people. Muronging said lightly, these three people are the lackeys of the devil cult. Moreover, there were many spies along the way. It seems like they know our every move. The little Taoist was very angry. If these devil cult dogs were to fall into my hands, I would definitely pierce through their hearts with one sword. No need to be so excited. They are just some small fries. Taoist, you are a person who cultivates in peace. It's better for you to kill as little as possible. Muronging said, you are different from the two of them. The two of them were born to be assassins. The gold-silver swordsman just stood there, not making a sound, like a robot. Alliance Master, there is something, can I ask you? The little Taoist of Wudang seemed to be a little shy. There is no harm in saying it. This gold-silver swordsman is using the long-lost yin-yang twin swords. Yes. Muronging did not avoid it, however, this yin-yang twin swords has a unique condition. Only twins who can communicate with each other can practice it. Yes, I have only heard of it in legends. I have never seen it before. The little Taoist nodded. Muronging said again, there is no need to be envious. Wudang's Taiji sword is also a peerless sword technique. If you practice it well, you can walk unhindered in Jianghu. There is no need to walk unhindered. I simply like to practice the sword. The little Taoist touched his treasured sword with an infatuated look in his eyes. This kind of infatuation, Muronging had only seen in her fiancé. This little Taoist might also be someone in the future. Have a good rest tonight. We will set off tomorrow morning. What about these three people? The people here will naturally help us solve it. Muronging laughed, this is the Luoma ancient road. When Muronging rushed to Wudang, Li Fan and Xia Ho also arrived at the small town at the foot of Mount Hua. Is this the human world? Xia Ho was very excited as she looked at everything around her. The modern houses, the cars, all of these were filled with a sense of impact to Xia Ho. Big sister, we only came down from Mount Hua, not from the heavenly court. Li Fan was very speechless, this is also not called the human world. This is called the normal human world. In any case, it is not the same as our Mount Hua. Xia Yi leaned on the display window of an underwear shop with a face full of joy, this is underwear right. Our Mount Hua does not have it, only chest wrapping cloth. Li Fan's face was flushed as he brought Xia Ho, who was like a curious baby, back. Senior sister. I will slowly teach you these. Junior brother, I want to buy underwear. Li Fan looked at Xia Ho's eyes that were filled with desire. Helpless, he could only nod his head and agree. Li Fan led the excited Xia Ho into the underwear shop. It was clearly a small town, but the underwear brand was quite good. It was probably because it was a tourist attraction. The shop assistant looked at Li Fan and Xia Ho who were dressed so simply and revealed a look of disgust. Chapter 435. Look! Little junior brother, this set of underwear is so beautiful. It's so revealing. Xia Yi pulled Li Fan and pointed excitedly at a set of black lace underwear as she said to Li Fan, is it too revealing? Is it? What is this material made of? She was about to reach out to touch the set of underwear when the female shopping guide stopped her. Don't touch it if you're not buying it. So fierce, Xia Ran was startled by her voice and sheepishly withdrew her hand. This set is more than 3,000 yuan, you know. The female shopping guide rolled her eyes. You can't afford it even if it's dirty. How much is it? Li Fan asked again, 3,000. I won't give you a single cent. It's very cheap. Give me a set. Li Fan took out his bank card, which had some money in it. The shopping guide was stunned for a moment, and Li Fan asked again. Don't you understand me? Li Fan's voice was cold. Okay, dear customer. The shopping guide wrote the ticket for Li Fan and swiped his card. Xia Yi seemed to have no concept of money. She was just curious, what's the use of this underwear for? Seeing that the shopping guide was about to pack up the underwear, Li Fan snatched it away and said, no need. Sir, don't you need to pack it up? I'm not going to wear it. There's no need to pack it up. Under the shopping guide's astonished gaze, Li Fan threw the underwear on the ground and stepped on it a few times. It's just a few pieces of cloth that are raised by vanity. You really treat it as a treasure. Ridiculous. Li Fan pulled Xia Yi. Senior sister, let's go. I'll bring you to buy some nice clothes. Leaving the stunned shopping guide behind, Li Fan and Xia Yi had already walked out of the underwear store. It's quite nice. What a pity. Xia Yi said with some regret. It's not a pity. I'll bring senior sister to choose 2 better ones. Li Fan led Xia Yi, chose a shopping mall, and led Xia Yi around. He brought Xia Yi to a women's clothing store. The shop assistant here was obviously more enthusiastic, perhaps because the prices here were not expensive. Xia Yan changed into a modern denim skirt and looked much cleaner and prettier. From the inside to the outside, Li Fan had also helped Xia Yi change the inside as a reference. However, Li Fan did not enjoy the process of changing clothes. Since he had left the mountain, Li Fan also changed his clothes. He bought a black fleece cotton coat and wore it outside. Little junior brother looks pretty good in this. It was Xia Yi's first time seeing Li Fan in modern clothes, so she couldn't help but praise him. But seeing that Li Fan's inner buttons were not buttoned properly, Xia Ho stepped forward and helped him fix the buttons. This gave Li Fan the illusion that Xia Kun was not the senior sister he had just met, but the wife he had loved for many years. In the future, Xia Yi would definitely be a good wife and loving mother. Little junior brother, where are we going next? Xia Yi was full of novelty to the whole world. Li Fan said, there is only one place, back to my city A. Well, I seem to be missing that place. After all, my vacation is coming to an end. There was not much vacation during the Chinese New Year. Li Fan's vacation was coming to an end, so he had to return to his school early. City A. Is it fun there? It's fun. Li Fan laughed, it's just not as beautiful as the scenery here. Then how are we going there? By Golden Kite? Of course not. Li Fan laughed, we'll use a more modern way. Li Fan was going to take the train back to City A with Xia Yi. After all, there was no airport at the foot of Mount Hua. Moreover, Li Fan was not willing to take a plane. He had just spent a lot of money. For Li Fan, it was more painful than cutting his flesh. Li Fan went to withdraw some cash before taking Xia Yi to the station to buy a ticket. Looking at the dense crowd at the train station, Xia Yi was a little dazed. Why? Why are there so many people? Xia Yi felt it was incredible. She had not even been to the tourist spots of Mount Hua. It was the first time she had seen so many people. Welcome to the Spring Festival, senior sister. Li Fan winked at Xia Yi. It would take 24 hours to get to City A, and Li Fan only bought a standing ticket. But it was no problem for him and Xia Yi, 2 martial artists. Xia Yi followed Li Fan into the train. The dense crowd finally made Xia Yi feel a little uncomfortable. So many people, Xia Yi was squeezed so hard that she could only hide in Li Fan's arms. Li Fan, on the other hand, stood there like an iron tower, motionless. Xia Yi leaned in his arms and felt a sense of security. Little junior brother, why do they like to call you little tyrant? Xia Yi looked at the crowd and was bored, so she asked. It's probably because I look more domineering. Li Fan was also curious. Little tyrant was what the students called him. How did the people in the pugilistic world know about it? No matter what, they did call him Little Tyrant now, and he quite liked this name. But I feel that little junior brother is very gentle. The petite Xia Yi hid in Li Fan's arms and said softly, in private, little junior brother treats people very gently. Really? I'm very gentle. But when fighting, little junior brother seems to have changed into a different person. Xia Yi nodded, and little junior brother's 7 heroes fist is really domineering, but I always feel that something is missing. What is it? I just feel that it lacks enough domineering. Xia Yi hurriedly said, I'm talking nonsense. You also know that I don't have any talent. Especially little junior brother, his talent is so high, he definitely knows more than me. Li Fan fell into deep thought. Xia Yi did not seem to be very powerful, but her thoughts were bold and imaginative. For example, the move Charming Thorns that she created. Although it was not complete, it proved that her thoughts were correct. Li Fan could not help but recall that dream of his, as well as the man who appeared in the dream. He repelled all of his enemies with a single palm strike. That kind of awe-inspiring feeling caused Li Fan to feel respect for him. Even his back view was domineering enough. Just as Li Fan was thinking about this, Xia Yi suddenly cried out in shock. Then, she stretched out her hand and grabbed the right hand of a man wearing a flowery jacket behind her. Bastard! You actually dare to act like a hooligan. Xia Yi rebuked. Don't spout nonsense, when did I act like a hooligan? That man curled his lips. You touched me. You touched my back. Xia Yi's face turned red, and the gazes of the surrounding people turned over. Where is my back? Ha ha ha. The man wearing the flowery jacket laughed. His smile was wretched. You! Hooligan! Little girl, I did not touch you, don't blindly spout nonsense here. The train is already crowded, if you are afraid of being crowded then don't get on. The man wearing the flowery jacket laughed, and the surrounding people watched the show. Xia Yi was so angry that her face turned red. Chapter 436. The man in the cotton jacket laughed even more happily. Xia Yi was so angry that she was about to cry. But at this time, Li Fan stretched out his hand and grabbed the neck of the man in the cotton jacket. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Li Fan lifted the man who was taller than him into the air. What are you doing? The veins on the man's face bulged as he growled. You touched my friend, what do you think I want to do to you? Li Fan said with a smile. You have no evidence. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't need evidence. Li Fan's eyes narrowed into slits. If young master wants to pinch you to death, he will pinch you to death. Let him go. A man beside Li Fan took out a dagger and pressed it against Li Fan's waist, otherwise, I will kill you. Friend, you are not a law-abiding citizen for bringing a controlled knife on the train. Li Fan laughed. After all, even Xia Yi's sword was checked in. I am the law. If you don't let him go, I will stab you to death. Senior sister, can you do me a favor? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Xia Yi laughed. No problem. Xia Yi stepped on the back of the dagger man's foot, causing him to scream in pain. Xia Yi is a martial artist, this kick is definitely not something he can take lightly. No one knew where these two hooligans came from, but they were now in the hands of Li Fan and the others. They can be considered unlucky. Xia Yi directly dislocated the dagger man's jaw and wrist, making him unable to even scream and can only desperately drip saliva. Li Fan also tightly pinched the neck of the man in the cotton jacket, causing him to almost suffocate. Junior brother, forget it. You are going to kill him. Xia Yi still has some compassion in her heart. She pulled Li Fan's arm to calm him down. These people don't learn from their mistakes. It is not the first time that Li Fan has dealt with hooligans. If I don't teach them a lesson, they will never remember. There is no need to kill them. It seems that they have learned their lesson, right? The dagger man and the man in the cotton jacket nodded repeatedly. Let them go, junior brother. Okay. Li Fan could not shake Xia Yi's compassion, so he let the two guys go. The two squeezed out of the crowd as if they were running for their lives. While doing all this, no onlookers said a word. They were always watching the show. The sect leader said that there are bad people at the mountain. Xia pouted and said, there's no such person on the mountain. There is no such person on the mountain. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, he regretted it. As expected, Xia Ho also fell silent. Li Fan wanted to slap himself. Fuck, he really touched my sore spot. Xia Ho didn't speak anymore. She just quietly leaned in Li Fan's arms, as if she was recalling something. S to into Fan. E to she, S to she. Li Fan. E, but he, Xia, brave but not domineering enough. Li Fan warned himself. Even on the train, Li Fan could still enter a state of meditation in such a noisy environment. Perhaps this is the benefit of the pure yang body. Li Fan could feel that there are 7 ferocious behemoths in his body. Black Tiger Emperor, Lightning Deer, Golden Immortal He, Ape-Faced Buddha, Sky-Swallowing Toad, Bear Cavalry, and Dragon Emperor Snake. These 7 beasts are not domineering enough. Not enough. Far from enough. You don't need to be domineering. A voice roared in Li Fan's ears. What you need is evil. It's your nature. Li Fan frowned. Here it comes again. That voice echoed in his ears again. The inner demon is like a piece of dog skin plaster. It is stuck to my body and I can't tear it off. Li Fan used the east-rising purple qi to regulate his breathing. However, the air in the train is not good, which makes Li Fan even more irritated. Li Fan's heartbeat sped up. He feels that the inner demon is getting worse. At this time, Xia Yi gently hugs Li Fan. Her unique fragrance floats into Li Fan's nose. This fragrance seems to have a calming effect, which makes Li Fan relax. Li Fan's inner demon slowly recedes. He seems to be able to feel Xia Yi's breathing and her heartbeat. In this peaceful environment, Li Fan slowly enters the real subconscious space. The 7 ferocious beasts seem to have appeared in front of him. He looked at the 7 ferocious beasts. The 7 hero fist still needs to be perfected. The other moves might be faster for beginners. But for someone like him, one move was enough for him to deal with each type of ferocious beast. Just like the 9 Buddha Sutra, created by Lu Jinchan, it only has a total of 9 moves. He wants to create the strongest move. Before that, Li Fan should try to accommodate the strongest state of the 7 fist techniques at the same time. This is not easy to do. Although Li Fan can barely make 2 beasts appear on his body, it seems impossible to accommodate 7 at the same time. I have to improve the 7 hero fist and make it stronger. Li Fan sits cross-legged in front of the 7 beasts. He is thinking about how Lu Jinchan can improve his martial arts. From complexity to simplicity. 10,000 to 10,000. Li Fan quietly pondered, and the 7 ferocious beasts around him also became clearer. The 7 beasts seem to condense into human forms. The fierce tiger is draped in a golden royal robe, but the crown is black. The viper is draped in an emperor armor, and there is a scarlet cloak behind him. The wild bear is wearing a knight's armor, holding a shield in one hand and a sword in the other. The ape is sitting cross-legged, wearing a kasaya, and chanting Buddhist scriptures. The crane is wearing a Taoist robe, as if it is going to ascend to immortality. The white deer is like an immortal, sitting with the crane. Only the giant toad has not evolved into a human, and it is still like a beast. Li Fan pondered, perhaps it is because the giant toad has not evolved yet, so I can't comprehend it to a deeper level. My martial arts definitely have great potential. When the giant toad evolves, Li Fan should be able to improve. However, when Li Fan observed these huge beasts, he felt that each beast seems to be moving slowly. Although it is very slow, they are indeed moving. Each beast seems to be doing the same action. Although they are all different, Li Fan suddenly has a feeling that they are teaching him something. When Li Fan opens his eyes again, it is already the next morning. You're finally awake. Xia Ho rubbed her eyes and said sleepily, I've been guarding you for so long. I'm a little sleepy, have you been guarding me all this time? Li Fan is a little touched. Of course, you can actually cultivate in this kind of place. You are really working hard. Xia Ho said with a smile, no wonder junior brother is so strong. You really reap what you sow. I have to cultivate well in the future. Starting now. Of course not. Let me enjoy modern life first. Xia Ho pointed at the gradually slowing buildings outside the window and winked at Li Fan. We are almost at the stop. Chapter 437. He was finally back in City A. Li Fan brought Xia Hua off the train and stood on the familiar platform. Is this your hometown? Xia Hua looked around like a curious baby. Xia Hua thought that the hometown where her junior brother grew up was a remote town that focused on martial arts. She didn't expect it to be such a lively city. Although the weather was a little cold, the two of them had true qi protecting their bodies, so they didn't feel too cold. After getting off the train, Li Fan first called Huang Lei. Lei had been clamoring to pick him up at the station. But the station was too big, so he didn't know where this guy was. Maybe he met some fat woman and followed her to hit on her. It was a mistake to let this unreliable guy pick him up. Li Fan wanted to call Ling Tian to pick him up. But at this moment, a thin man snatched the luggage from Xia Hua's hands, turned around, and ran into the crowd. Thief! Stop! Xia Hua didn't hesitate and chased after the thief. This girl. She even said to be cautious. Although Li Fan didn't have much experience in the martial arts world, he already had some experience in this aspect. He hurriedly followed Xia Hua and walked through the crowd. The thief was familiar with the road and ran very fast. However, Xia Hua's speed was also very fast. After all, she had Qinggong, so no matter how the thief ran, she could follow closely behind him. After running for an unknown distance, Xia Hua followed the thief into a small alley with no one around. There were a few big men smoking on both sides of the alley. Seeing Xia Hua run in, the thief stopped in his tracks. The few big men also stood up and picked up the axes from under their buttocks at the same time. Two of them were very familiar to Xia Hua. They were the two guys who molested her on the train. The guy whose wrist and chin were removed was still lying on the ground and drooling, but his eyes were filled with hatred when he looked at Xia Hua. Xia Hua was a little disdainful. Looking at these big men with axes, she said in a delicate voice. You guys want to plot against me with just the few of you? Xia Hua subconsciously touched her long sword, but found that it wasn't at her waist. Only then did she remember that her treasured sword had already been taken away by her junior brother before her. Little girl, I know you know some martial arts. A burly man with a scar on his face sneered, but you actually dared to touch my brother, the Demon King of Chaos. I definitely won't let you off today. This man was tall and sturdy, and his skin was dark. He looked like a tough guy. He pretentiously licked his axe and accidentally stuck his tongue on it. This guy panicked. If his subordinates found out, where would his big brother put his face? The Demon King of Chaos hardened his heart and viciously tore off a piece of skin from his tongue. Fresh blood flowed out from his mouth. At first glance, he really did look like a fiend. The two underlings who had molested Xia Hua were so moved that their eyes were brimming with tears. Their big brother was so kind. For the two of them, he was so angry that he even bit his tongue. This was a real big brother, a good big brother, a big brother that should follow him for life. The Demon King of Chaos did not bother to wipe off his own blood. He glared at Xia Hua in front of him and let out a threatening sneer. When he smiled, even his teeth were red, making him look even more sinister. You're asking for a beating. Xia Hua immediately raised her fist and smacked this Demon King of Chaos on his face, causing his cheeks to cave in. It was so painful that he screamed. Fuck your father. This daddy hasn't even said anything yet. The Demon King of Chaos retreated 2 steps and held his face. Blood kept flowing out from his face and it was so painful that he wanted to die. This daddy is going to skin you alive. The Demon King of Chaos was so angry that he stomped his feet. Behind him, his underlings were still smoking. Beat your ass. What are you waiting for? The Demon King of Chaos scolded. Only then did his underlings come to their senses. They grabbed their axes and charged towards Xia Ho. But no matter what, Xia Ho was still a martial artist. Even if she did not have a treasure sword with her, she still had some chi protecting her body. She used her fists and legs to send the few hooligans in front of her flying. You bunch of women. Do all of you spend all your strength on women's bellies? The Demon King of Chaos scolded, a bunch of fools. What are you all doing? He also pulled out an axe and charged towards Xia Ho. But Xia Ho was not a pushover either. Although she was short, her qinggong was good. She easily jumped to a height of 2 meters and kicked the Demon King of Chaos twice, causing the Demon King of Chaos to sit on the ground with 2 footprints on his face. Little woman, I'm going to kill you. The Demon King of Chaos suddenly pulled out a 5-shot gun from a crack in the wall and pointed it at Xia Ho. Xia Ho clearly did not understand what this thing was. She tilted her head and looked at the Demon King of Chaos. What's the use of a poker? Take a guess, little girl. Demon King of Chaos snickered and raised his hand to pull the trigger. But at this moment, Li Fan suddenly appeared. Furthermore, he was holding a car door that he pulled out from God knows where and stood in front of Xia Ho. Dang, dang, dang. A large amount of shrapnel was immediately embedded in the car door. Xia Ho jumped in fright. What is this thing? Is it a hidden weapon? Xia Ho hurriedly asked. No, this thing is 100 times more vicious than a hidden weapon. Li Fan stared at the Demon King of Chaos in front of him. The Demon King of Chaos pulled the trigger and wanted to continue shooting. But the quality of the 5-shot gun did not seem to be good and the trigger jammed. I'll slap you to death. The Demon King of Chaos did not have the slightest fear. He fiercely stepped forward and raised the butt of the gun, smashing it towards Li Fan's head. Dang, dang, dang. The butt of the gun smashed onto the car door. This Demon King of Chaos actually had brute force, causing Li Fan to take a step back. What a guy, Li Fan could not help but exclaim. To be able to force him back, how much strength did this guy have? Li Fan looked at his appearance. His body was strong and did not look like an ordinary hooligan. Furthermore, after being hit by Xia Ho so many times, he could still be so lively. His body should have trained in Qigong. You've carried a gun before? Yes, I can fuck your ass. The Demon King of Chaos said. With a roar, the butt of the gun in his hand smashed down again. Li Fan lifted the car door and fiercely slammed it into the Demon King of Chaos, sending him flying. Dog shit. The Demon King of Chaos crawled back up and wiped the blood off his head. He fiercely looked at Li Fan. Little senior sister, take it and protect yourself. Li Fan was worried that someone would shoot him from the back, so he stuffed the car door into Xia Ho's hands. He clapped his hands and took 2 steps forward, standing in front of the Demon King of Chaos. I'll fight it out with you. The Demon King of Chaos threw away the butt of the gun in his hand and grabbed Li Fan's shoulders with both hands. He actually lifted Li Fan up just like that. Chapter 438. This devil's incarnation's strength is indeed not small. While Li Fan was lifted into the air, he did not panic. Instead, he stretched out a hand and grabbed the devil's incarnation's towering shoulder. The veins on the devil's incarnation's face bulged. He used all the strength in his body, but his arm could not move at all. Your strength is not bad, but you still need some technique to exert force. Li Fan said with a smile. Need your uncle. Fuck your mother. The devil's incarnation simply jumped up and smashed Li Fan to the ground. While Li Fan supported his body with one hand on the ground, just like that, he stabilized his body. The devil's incarnation's body was almost perpendicular to the ground, supported by Li Fan's arm. They did not fall to the ground. Why? The devil's incarnation is a bit on the verge of collapse. Who is this guy? You can't beat me. With that, Li Fan directly turned his body upside down, bringing the devil's incarnation's body and smashed him to the ground. Who do you belong to? Vanguard? Yellow-clothed group? Or some mercenary group? Li Fan stepped on the devil's incarnation's neck and asked coldly. Go back and ask your mother. The devil's incarnation grinned, a mouth full of blood. Looks like you belong to the king of hell. Li Fan's foot was about to break this guy's neck, but Xia Yi pulled him back. Little junior brother. Don't kill. Senior sister, this is the real world. Li Fan warned Xia Yi, previously you let them go, but they did not appreciate your kindness. Instead, they led you into this trap, and now they even want to take your life. But they are not fated to die. You see, I am fine, right? Xia Yi patted her chest, I am completely unharmed. These people are our enemies, we have a saying in modern times, treat the enemy as cold as winter. But we're martial artists. Winter isn't cold for us. Xia Ho winked at Li Fan and then pouted. Anyway. I don't like it when you kill people. Alright, I'll listen to you again. Li Fan lifted his foot, but what he got in return was the devil incarnate's roar. I won't let you go. I will take revenge on you. I'll kill you. We'll talk about it when you have the chance. Li Fan kicked the devil incarnate to the side. The devil incarnate carried the two unconscious brothers and left some harsh words to Li Fan before leaving. I won't let you off. Wait, leave your name first. This grandpa is called the devil incarnate. Damn, is he a Chinibu? Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. He was too lazy to deal with these gangsters, so he just sent them away. Those hidden weapons were so powerful. Xia Ho was still a little excited, even if I have the charming sword, I might not be able to block it. This is called a gun, a tool to kill people. Li Fan reminded Xia Ho, next time you see this kind of thing, don't think about anything else and dodge immediately. I know, look at you, you're like a housekeeper. Xia Ho laughed, in the future when you get married, you'll annoy people to death. Li Fan looked at Xia Ho seriously, how do you know I don't have a wife? Junior brother is so mischievous, there won't be a girl who will like you. Xia Ho said with a smile, making Li Fan speechless. Junior sister. Since you know that I have the title of Little Overlord, you don't know that I have another name. What name? Just as Li Fan was about to explain, a phone call suddenly interrupted him. My wise and godly big brother. Where did you run off to? My chrysanthemum turned cold from waiting. Go to hell. Li Fan almost vomited blood, idiot. Where are you? I'll go find you. I'm at the East Square. Damn it, stand there and don't move. Li Fan was convinced by Huang Lei, then he led Xia Ho to the East Square. In the East Square, Huang Lei stood in front of a white convertible, lighting a cigarette. Huang Lei suddenly saw Li Fan and excitedly lit up the cigarette. Fuck. Huang Lei looked at his racing gloves with distress, and when he looked up, he saw a beautiful girl beside Li Fan, and his eyes widened. But it was only for a moment, after all, Huang Lei was a person with a heavy taste. Big brother, why did you bring another one back? Again? Xia Ho turned her head when she heard this. Bah, what nonsense are you talking about? This is senior sister Xia Ho, a disciple of Mount Hua. Her swordsmanship is excellent, be careful, she'll chop off your dick. That won't do, Huang Lei was nervous, after all, that's my only strength, what's your dick? Xia Ho tilted her head and looked at Li Fan, waiting for him to give an explanation. It's his younger brother. Li Fan explained awkwardly. But I don't know his younger brother, why would I chop him? Xia Ho looked at Li Fan, puzzled, and I don't kill people, why would I chop his younger brother? Ahem, Lei, where's our car? Li Fan changed the topic. Huang Lei hurriedly pointed behind him, it's here, big brother. A traffic policeman gave me a traffic violation just now, so I chased after him and gave him money to settle it. You're fucking kidding me. Li Fan looked at Huang Lei's Mazda MX-5, which had at least 8 hands. He did not know if the car could still be driven, especially with only 2 seats. How could 3 people drive? Can you still drive this car? This car was built in the 90s, right? Don't worry, big brother, I just changed the tires. Fuck your grandpa, what does this have to do with the tires? Big brother, don't look down on my little darling. Although she's a little old, she's a classic sports car. Look at her slim figure, look at her beautiful butt. What, do you want to fuck her again? Li Fan could not help but tease, Lei, you can have a heavy taste, but you don't have to fuck a car, right? If only I had that King Kong dick. Huang Lei laughed, and Li Fan wanted to slap him. Big brother, you can't blame me. I didn't know you brought someone back. It's fine, I can sit on this thing's butt. Xia Ho pointed to the trunk of the car. She was a martial artist, so she was not worried about sliding down. How can that be? Senior sister, sit in the car. I'll just run with the car. The 3 of them were overloaded. He was an honest man who abided by the rules. How could he do such a thing that broke the rules? How can that be? Little junior brother can just sit in the car. Xia Ho shook her head. Just listen to my arrangements. Senior sister, please get in the car. Li Fan opened the car door in a gentlemanly manner. Huang Lei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Damn, big brother, this is clearly my car. Chapter 439. The little girl sat in the front passenger seat and seemed to be quite excited. After all, it was a new experience for her to ride in a car. She was very curious about how a metal box could run so fast. Li Fan, on the other hand, used his qinggong and followed beside the car, which really shocked many people. Fortunately, the car was not driving fast, otherwise it would be even more shocking. As Li Fan ran, he asked Huang Lei a question. Devil incarnate? Oh, I know him. Huang Lei nodded. Big brother, you met him before. That guy is a psychopath. Huang Lei started to ramble. This guy was in the army, but I don't know why he was discharged. After he came back, he brought a few people with him and started a smuggling business. This guy is too fierce, and he dares to do all kinds of dirty work. Most importantly, this guy never follows the rules of the underworld. Previously, there was a big brother who had a grudge with him. He didn't care and risked a smuggling route to kill that big brother. Sounds a bit hot-blooded. What hot-blooded? He's just a firecracker. Anyway, no one dares to provoke him now. He has 3 smuggling routes in his hands, so he can earn some money. But his reputation is bad, really bad. Anyway, if it were me, I definitely wouldn't provoke him. Big brother, you didn't provoke him, did you? Well, I shouldn't call it provoking him. I just beat him up. Li Fan laughed, but I think he probably didn't learn his lesson. Fuck. Big brother, are you kidding me? This guy was a madman. If you provoke him, he will definitely fight to the death with us. It's with me. Li Fan said, if he wants to defeat me, he needs more training. Just as Li Fan was about to say something, Huang Lei suddenly said something. Oh right, big brother, you came back at the right time. There's something that I have to tell you. What is it? After coming back, Li Fan had not had a good rest, and it seemed that things had come to him again. Huang Lei glanced at Xia Ho, but Li Fan waved his hand. It's okay. Say it. Li Fan gestured. Senior sister is not an outsider. Alright, Ling Tian accepted a job. It's just to deliver some illegal goods and cross the border. Crossing the border? Where to? Li Fan raised his eyebrows. Sueha, to Russia. Huang Lei said, the person who escorted the goods is a very mysterious guy. He didn't want to tell us his name. He asked us to escort something over and didn't let us see what it was. However, the price was very high. It cost 1 million for this trip. Thus, Ling Tian wanted to ask Big Brother if he would accept this job. Xia Ye didn't say anything because she knew she shouldn't interrupt when the man was talking about his career. 1 million. With our current economic situation, we really need this money. Li Fan didn't even think about it. Alright, we'll take this job. Big Brother, aren't you afraid of sending the national treasure out? Huang Lei couldn't help but ask the GM, if we really send it out, we'll be in big trouble. Ha, I thought you didn't care about these things. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. How is that possible? Huang Lei exclaimed, Big Brother, how can you say that about me? You hurt my China heart. No matter what, I, Huang Lei, am also an indomitable Chinese man. I definitely won't do something like sending national treasures out. Then I didn't make friends with you for nothing. Li Fan was a little relieved. Alright, I'll take this trip. If it's a national treasure, I'll personally get it back. With Big Brother's words, it's fine. There's nothing in this world that Big Brother can't do. Ha, it's too early to say that. Li Fan laughed. In this world, there were too many experts. He was nothing. Therefore, he needed to become stronger. This job is quite urgent. It needs to be sent to Russia within 3 days. Huang Lei told Li Fan, which surprised Li Fan. Fuck, I haven't even rested since I came back. Where's old Guan and Yan Kai? They've gone out to escort the goods. Recently, our finances have been tight, and they've been quite diligent. Huang Lei said, other than escorting the goods, they also have to make a trip to the Sima family. The Sima family? Yes, Big Brother. Isn't there a saying in the pugilistic world? I've remembered it. Something about North Murong or South Sima. Before we left, Yan Kai told me that it's the Sima family's grandfather's birthday, so he has to send some congratulatory gifts with old Guan. The Sima family's birthday? Then Muronging should be going to congratulate them. Li Fan muttered. He hadn't seen Muronging in a while. He wondered what she was busy with. Big Brother, where are we going now? I have to arrange a place for little senior sister to stay. Well, she'll stay in the company for now. Li Fan's current company was the dilapidated bungalow in the old market. It's a little shabby. Sorry for neglecting senior sister. No, it's fine as long as there's a bed. Xia Ho wasn't picky. She was happy to be able to walk down the mountain. 2 women living together. Plus Lin Yuhsn, that's 3 women. It's enough for a show. Huang Lei shrugged. Now that Yin Xiaoru was temporarily living in the bungalow, and with Xia Ho, there were indeed 2 women. However, Xia Ho had a good temper, so she probably wouldn't have any conflict with the lively Yin Xiaoru. After all, Li Fan had to leave for a few days. He couldn't bring Xia Ho when crossing borders. It was too dangerous. Do you want to send Big Brother home? I won't go back for now. I don't want to cause trouble at home. Li Fan said. He still had to leave. If he came in a hurry and left in a hurry, he might as well not show his face. At this time, Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai had already headed to the Sima family in the south. The 2 of them were originally escorting goods in the south. Since they were here, they had no choice but to come in time for old Master Sima's birthday. Guan Wenbao was wearing his usual green battle robe, while Yan Kai was wearing a clean white suit with a red tie. His ponytail was very neat. Do you think the things we gave him are a little insignificant for old Master Sima's birthday? Yan Kai looked at the long wooden box in Guan Wenbao's hand and asked. A treasured sword is worthy of a hero. Guan Wenbao said lightly. A sword worth more than 1,000 yuan, it's a product of Longquan. The quality is not bad. A product of Longquan bought on Taobao. Are you sure it'll work? Yan Kai was still a little worried, but Guan Wenbao said, he won't see it anyway. You promise? When I was 3 years old, I followed my father everywhere to participate in these occasions. Guan Wenbao spoke with confidence. I'm different from you. Tisk, what's there to be proud of? Yan Kai curled his lips. I sent my eldest senior brother's sword flying when I was 3 years old. Flaunting your dog. Fuck you. If it weren't for the mission, I would definitely press you on the bed and beat you up. Yan Kai gritted his teeth, but Guan Wenbao touched the scabbard. Chapter 440. If I hear any more of your nonsense, I'll castrate you. Old Guan, you should be able to take a joke. Yan Kai chuckled, it's been a boring journey. How can I not be humorous? Quiet your ass. Old Guan knows how to scold people. Yan Kai suddenly laughed out loud, that's truly an amazing story. Say hello to your little brother for me. As Guan Wenbao spoke, he was about to unsheath his long saber. Yan Kai hurriedly said, ahaha. I was just joking. Don't take it seriously. We're all brothers when we're outside, right? Guan Wenbao rolled his eyes and put his hand down. The two of them walked to the front of the huge Sima residence. As the saying goes, Murong in the north and Sima in the south. This saying was not wrong at all. The Murong clan's courtyard was already incomparably luxurious, but the Sima clan's courtyard was not the least bit inferior. The two families stood opposite each other in the north and south. Just the gate alone had existed for who knew how many years, guarding this courtyard just like that. There were two huge stone lions at the gate. They looked mighty and domineering. It was as if they were staring at Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai. The huge red lacquer gate was inlaid with bronze nails. There was a fixed number of nails on each gate, symbolizing the prosperity of the Sima residents for hundreds of years. The Sima family's servants were all dressed in black, and each of them had a strong physique. It was obvious that they were well trained. When Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai walked over, a man with slightly curly hair cupped his hands at them. Young hero Guan, young hero Yan, I didn't know you were coming. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. Before the two of them could introduce themselves, this person had already recognized them. Greetings, Butler Yan. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai knew who this man was. He was the butler of the Sima residence. His name was Yan San. This man's nickname was Divine Diviner. It was said that he knew everything in Jianghu. There was nothing in Jianghu that he didn't know. Thus, they were not surprised that he could recognize Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai at a glance. It wouldn't make sense if he couldn't recognize it. May I know why the two of you have come from afar? Housekeeper Yan was nearly 50 years old. His sideburns were white, but his mental state was excellent. His eyes also emitted a kind of sharpness. When Yan Kai heard this, he could not help but raise his eyebrows. He was already very proud, and when he heard Yan San's deliberate act of stupidity, his temper flared up. Of course I'm here to offer my blessings. Why else would I be here to drink the wedding wine? Young hero Yan, I know that you have some reputation in the Jianghu, so naturally, you also have a temper. However, this is the Sima family's territory. You must pay attention to what you say. Steward Yan said in a lukewarm tone. Yan Kai wanted to flare up, but Guan Wenbao held him down and cupped his hands at Housekeeper Yan. Housekeeper Yan, I'm sorry. The two of us have come to offer our blessings and have brought gifts. We hope that Butler Yan can make an exception and let us in. Guan Wenbao and his men worked as escorts, and escorts not only required martial arts, but also social connections. Since they were in the south, they naturally had to pay their respects to the Sima family. The reason why Guan Wenbao was humble was for the sake of the escort agency. Young heroes, I'm really sorry. Although the two of you have good intentions, the two of you are indeed not on the invitation list of the Sima family. These are the rules. Young heroes, please leave. Housekeeper Yan was like a door god. He stood at the door and did not let Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai pass. Since that's the case, then please help us deliver the gifts as a token of our sincerity. Guan Wenbao handed over the treasured sword. This sword is my family's treasured sword. It's forged from cold steel and can kill without spilling blood. As the saying goes, a treasured sword is given to a hero. This time, I'm giving it to Old Master Sima. Housekeeper Yen, please accept it on behalf of Old Master Sima. Yen Kai was speechless. He felt that he had misjudged Guan Wenbao. This guy was usually honest, but he was definitely black-bellied. Especially his ability to make up lies, it made people wonder if he was possessed by someone. There's no need. The Sima family does not lack treasured swords. Young heroes, please take the gifts back. Ah Wen, Ah Bao, see the guests out. Yes. Two servants came forward and chased Yen Kai and Guan Wenbao out. One of the servants reached out to push Yen Kai, but Yen Kai grabbed his hand and twisted it. Crack! The servant's wrist was dislocated, and he screamed in pain. Young hero Yen, what do you mean by this? Housekeeper Yen frowned. What do I mean? I'm sorry. Yen Kai snorted coldly. The people of the Sima family are too dirty. How can they touch me so casually? Yen-san, you're not young anymore. Take care of your family members and know some etiquette. An abandoned disciple of Wudang dares to speak so bravely. Yen-san's eyes turned cold. Be careful. You'll die in the Sima family. The surrounding servants pulled out their sabers and looked like fiends. Meanwhile, Guan Wenbao stopped Yen Kai, who was ready to make a move, and said to Housekeeper Yen, Housekeeper Yen, I'm sorry. My friend was a little impulsive. However, the Sima family rejected us at the door today. We'll remember this kindness. So be it. Do you think that the Sima family is afraid of a small fiefin escort agency? Yen-san said loudly. Don't think that just because your chief escort agency has Murong family as his backing, he's not afraid of anything. A pretty boy wants to roam the Jianghu? What a joke. Yen Kai's hand grabbed Yen-san's chin without anyone noticing. I've had enough of your stinky mouth. Yen Kai was extremely displeased when someone talked about Li Fan. Although he and Li Fan did not get to know each other without a fight, Li Fan stood by his side and treated him like a brother at the most crucial moment. Looking at those hypocrites from Wudang sect, you're courting. Before Yen-san could finish his sentence, Yen Kai directly dislocated his jaw with a crack. We roam the Jianghu with our strength. Yen Kai sneered and looked at Yen-san. Unlike you, who only relies on your stupid mouth. Leave your life here. The surrounding Sima family disciples were not to be trifled with. They held their sabers and pounced at Yen Kai and Yen-san. The Sima family had a lot of decent servants. There were at least 40 to 50 of them, and they surrounded the two of them in the center. Guan Wenbao laughed, stretched out his finger, and whistled. A strong warhorse charged into the courtyard. Guan Wenbao mounted the horse and pulled out his Yenyue saber. He swung the saber and swept away the surrounding servants. No one could stand a chance against him. We shouldn't stay here for long. Let's go. Guan Wenbao shouted at Yen Kai. Fine. I'm tired of playing with you anyway. Yen Kai kicked Yen-san to the ground. Then, he used his qinggong and jumped onto the horse. Guan Wenbao rode the warhorse, parted the crowd, and leaped out. Chapter 441. Bam! Sima Long smashed a precious sandalwood chair and said angrily, how dare a small primeval escort agency look down on our Sima family? Father, this sandalwood chair is very expensive. Sima Jun advised his father. There's no need to get angry over this. No need. Did you forget what your master scolded me this morning? Sima Long was furious. He said I'm trash. He said I'm a disgrace to the Sima family. He looked at his son with a hint of jealousy. Sima Jun was the genius of the Sima family. His birth brought Sima long fame, but it also brought him pain. His son's glory overshadowed his father's. It was different from the Murong family. The current patriarch of the Murong family was a middle-aged man, Murong Bo. As for the Sima family's patriarch, he was from the older generation, Old Master Sima. The elder had appointed Sima Jun to be the next master of the Sima family. He had tried his best. In the end, he was treated as trash by the elder and did not even have the right to be the master. Sima Long could not help but be jealous of his son. Sima Jun, I'll leave this matter to you. I hope you can give me a satisfactory answer. Sima Long decided to push the blame to his son. After his son was done, he would bring the matter to the elder. That would save him a lot of effort. So what if my son is good at martial arts? Managing a big family relies on wisdom. Got it. I'll make Primeval pay. The reputation of the Sima family could not be tarnished. Sima Jun accepted the matter and left the room. A mixed-race man with blue eyes walked over and followed behind Sima Jun, asking in a low voice. Master, I'll help you get rid of Primeval. There's no rush. Sima Jun smiled and waved his hand. My father wants me to plant a fruit tree while he plucks the fruit. How can I, Sima Jun, let him have his way? Then how do you want to deal with it, master? Please tell me. Wu Hao, you've been with me for so long. Why haven't you improved? Sima Jun sighed softly. There was a hint of disappointment in his eyes. It's my fault. Please punish me, master. Li Wuhao directly knelt on the ground, and Sima Jun immediately bent over to help him up. Here you go again. I treat you like a brother, why do you have to act like this? Sima Jun said, I just hope that you can understand my feelings. Li Wuhao lowered his head in guilt. It's my fault. I've disappointed master. What are you talking about? You're already very good. I'm the one who's asking too much of you. Sima Jun patted the dust off his knees, and Li Wuhao was flattered. This time, it was the old man who threw the blame on my father. My disappointing father even wanted to push the blame to me. Sima Jun said, this is his idea. Naturally, I won't let him get what he wants. If Phenomenal Escort Agency did not make any moves after a while, he would naturally make his move himself. As for you and I, we can just watch the show. Master has great foresight. As expected, I still need to learn more. Li Wuhao was filled with emotion. Sima Jun patted him on the shoulder and said with slight regret. No matter how smart I am, I can't win the heart of the person I love. Hearing his master sigh, Li Wuhao was a little smarter this time. Master, are you thinking about the woman from Murong's family? There's only one person in my heart. Sima Jun's gaze was faint. It's a pity that she married the wrong person. Master, isn't this a good opportunity? Li Wuhao said. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai caused a scene at the Sima family's patriarch's birthday banquet. We can also take this opportunity to get rid of Li Fan. What do you mean by that? Don't have the intention to harm others. How can you kill Li Fan? Sima Jun's lesson made Li Wuhao look ashamed. Master is right. It's the devil in my heart. I shouldn't have done this. Well, it's good that you know. Killing people is too much. It will only increase the sin. It's not good, not good. Sima Jun smiled. Just cripple him. Looking at Sima Jun's smile, Li Wuhao did not know how to answer for a moment. This little tyrant, Li Fan, I want to meet him sooner. When Sima Jun regarded Li Fan as his rival in love, Li Fan was still in Sueha, the border between China and Russia. Karl Town was a small town that crossed China and Russia. It belonged to Sueha City. There were often people from both countries coming and going in the town. The Russians would come here to do some fur business, and the people here would also sell some rice, chopsticks, and so on to Russia. The town was full of small bungalows. Li Fan looked at the houses on both sides of the road and felt that he had returned to City A 30 years ago. I can only send you here. Ling Tian parked a rented Toyota Prado by the side of the road and pointed to the border between China and Russia in the distance. There was a row of barbed wire that divided the border between the two countries. From there, it's Russia. The target is waiting for you in Vladivostok Square. Give him the things, and the matter is done. As Ling Tian spoke, he handed the GPS, kettle, and biscuits to Li Fan. There was also a square black box that was locked with a special lock. He didn't know what was locked inside. The box looked very ordinary, as if it was just an iron box that could be seen everywhere. It was not eye-catching. But for some reason, Li Fan felt that this box was strange and had a dangerous aura. Naturally, he couldn't look at the employer's things. Li Fan stuffed the box into his backpack, wore the GPS on his hand, and hung the kettle and compressed biscuits on his clothes. He was wearing a black special combat suit and military boots, looking neat and tidy. At first glance, he looked like an elite in the military. I will wait for you here for 3 days. Ling Tian reminded Li Fan, if you don't come back in 3 days, I will prepare the rescue measures. Don't worry, I will be back in 3 days. Li Fan patted Ling Tian's shoulder, after all, I will officially start school in 3 days. I am a good student. I love to learn. Learning makes me happy. Ling Tian rolled his eyes. He didn't really want to talk. Anyway, take care. Ling Tian had a strange feeling that the mission this time would not be so smooth. Although it wasn't the first time he ran this smuggling route, nothing happened. But this time, he couldn't help but feel his heart beat faster. He had a bad feeling. Ling Tian knew that Li Fan wasn't an ordinary person. But that didn't mean that he wouldn't get hurt or die. Got it. Wait for me to come back. I will treat you to a Russian feast. Russian feast? What's that? It's red sausages and dalaba. Chapter 442. After Li Fan filled Ling Tian's stomach with the so-called Russian feast, he took the black box and set off at night. Although it was a strictly guarded border, the border was so wide that it was impossible to set up a sentry every meter. Therefore, after nightfall, it was time for these smugglers and stowaways to take risks. Li Fan's first time smuggling, for him, this should be called an escort. Escorting all over the world, whether it was China or abroad, as long as the employer told him to go, he would go. As long as someone stopped him, he would kill the other party. Li Fan touched the barbed wire and prepared to leave his motherland for the second time. He took out the GPS and searched for the location. But for some unknown reason, the GPS only lit up twice, and then completely turned off. Fuck. Li Fan shook the GPS hard, but it seemed to be dead and didn't respond to Li Fan. Damn, did Ling Tian buy me a defective product? At the critical moment, it actually didn't work. Don't move. At this moment, Li Fan heard a low voice behind him, followed by the sound of a gun bolt being pulled. If you move again, I will shoot. This voice was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't remember where he heard it. Brother, we are all the same, why make things difficult for each other? From the way the other party spoke, Li Fan inferred that this guy was definitely not a sentinel. Bah, who is the same as you? I am the People's Liberation Army, I specialize in beating you son of a bitch smugglers. The other party still spoke righteously. Li Fan was about to turn around when he scolded again, don't move, or I will shoot you into a hole. If you have the guts, then shoot. Li Fan said with a smile. Damn, aren't you afraid of death? Afraid, of course I'm afraid. Li Fan said with confidence, but judging from the sound of you pulling the bolt, you should be using a kind of hunting rifle made by the people. After one shot, you have to reload. Even if you kill me, once the gunshot is heard, you can't do what you want tonight. I am the People's Liberation Army, what are you afraid of shooting? Then open it. Li Fan urged, open it if you're a man. Son of a bitch, I don't believe it. There was the sound of a bullet being loaded, and a voice beside him hurriedly trying to dissuade him. Master, please don't shoot. I'm counting on this deal. If we screw this up, this smuggling route will be completely finished. Who cares? At most, I'll just snatch it from someone else. But at this moment, Li Fan suddenly moved. Like a gust of wind, he snapped his fingers and disappeared in front of the two people behind him. Fuck. The devil incarnate, who was struggling to free himself from his underlings, looked around. Li Fan was already behind him, patting him on the shoulder. The devil incarnate did not hesitate at all. He immediately turned around and was about to pull the trigger. However, Li Fan's finger was under the trigger, preventing the devil incarnate from firing. We're quite fated. Li Fan smiled, we're so far away from home, yet we can still meet. Even God wants me to kill you. The devil incarnate saw Li Fan and gritted his teeth in hatred. No, no, no. It's the heavens who sent you to me. He was just worried that the GPS was broken, and now a humanoid GPS was sent to him. The devil incarnate smuggled all year round, so he should be very clear about this route. If he led the way, wouldn't he be able to find Vladivostok Square? Smart and lucky, Li Fan felt that he was really great. Devil incarnate, you can't beat me, and you can't kill me. Why bother yourself so much? Li Fan looked at the devil incarnate, whose eyes were almost popping out of his eye sockets, and asked. Did I kill your whole family, or sell your son? Why do you have such a big grudge against me? I, the devil incarnate, have only one purpose. Whoever messes with me, I will return it 10 times, 100 times. The devil incarnate let out a series of low growls. Looking at him, Li Fan felt that he was more like a beast. Just when the two of them were in a stalemate, a few lights suddenly swept over them. A few sentences of Old Russian language, but he could not understand what they were saying. But there is no doubt that the sentinel opposite them has found them. Master, let's go. The underling urged the devil incarnate to quickly leave this place. Usually, when they encounter smugglers, they would at most scare them. But today, for some reason, the opposite sentinel actually fired a gun, and the bullets exploded on the stone next to them. The demon incarnate was stunned, and his little brother was also scared out of his wits. He pulled his big brother and shouted, Big brother, this is bad. They're going to kill us. What the fuck are you afraid of? If we die, we'll face the sky, if we don't die, we'll live forever. Fuck them. This guy is a real tiger. He picked up the shotgun and fired at the light source opposite them. The opposite side became noisy, as if the devil incarnate hit someone. The underling had no choice but to take out a gun and fire at the opposite side, suppressing the opposite side's firepower. However, he had fewer people on his side after all. After firing 3 shots, this underling was shot in the head and fell into a pool of blood. Fuck you. The devil incarnate's eyes were red, and he held the shotgun, ready to fight to the end. Idiot. Let's go. Li Fan couldn't let his GPS just die like that. He grabbed the collar of the devil's incarnation, but the devil's incarnation just laughed. Go? Where can we go? We might as well kill them all. This guy is definitely fierce, but water might be in his head. Li Fan grabbed the devil incarnate's collar, and with a shake of his feet, his whole body suddenly flew more than 4 meters into the air, and directly jumped over the barbed wire. At the same time, he continuously stepped on the air, and moved left and right a few times in the air, so that the Russian sentinel's line of sight would not be able to lock onto him. The devil incarnate was dumbfounded. He didn't understand what was going on, and his whole body flew away from the country's border. Li Fan carried the devil incarnate, this big guy, and ran wildly in the Russian border, leaving no trace behind. In the blink of an eye, he ran a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers, and the gunshots behind him finally faded away. In front of him was a cliff, and Li Fan directly grabbed the devil incarnate and climbed up the cliff easily. He jumped 100 meters high, and then threw the devil incarnate to the ground. In this way, those sentinels won't be able to find him for a while. Even if their hound's nose is good, can they still smell up the cliff? Fuck, what the fuck, the devil incarnate seemed to have not reacted. Is this fucking real? Is this a dream? Pooh. The devil incarnate suddenly shivered, and a bone-chilling cold went from his head to his neck, and then to the soles of his feet. Fuck. He shivered violently and stood up, shaking the snow out of his clothes. Have you calmed down? Li Fan sat on a rock next to him, looking at him with a blank expression. Chapter 443. What the hell are you? The devil's incarnation stared blankly at Li Fan, looking at him as if he was looking at a ghost. Are you a demon? I'm a human. Li Fan pulled out a dagger and lightly cut his arm, leaving a trace of blood. Do you see, the mortal body will bleed. Then how did you? The devil's incarnation was still a bit confused. Although he was a bit crazy, it didn't mean that he was a person without common sense. But in his common sense, this kind of situation should not exist. This is called martial skill. Li Fan said, it can also be called true qi. When he spoke, he raised his hand, and a faintly discernible true qi floated in his palm. He waved his hand, and a small tree next to him was immediately smashed into 2 pieces. Fuck. The devil's incarnation fiercely rubbed his eyes, as if to prove whether what he saw was real or not. But everything was in front of him. The high-spirited youth, the broken small tree, everything was so real. Am I dreaming? The devil's incarnation felt like he was about to collapse, but Li Fan laughed. How about it, do you want to learn? You have a bit of foundation in Qigong, so it shouldn't be too difficult for you to practice a deeper level of martial arts. I can also become as powerful as you. That's not possible, but it's not a problem to become more powerful. How about it, don't you want to become stronger? Li Fan felt like he was a little devil who gave out Tonghalu to tempt people. After all, he needed the help of the devil's incarnation, but this guy was a mad dog, unmoved by force or persuasion, so he could only play this trick. You want to recruit me, this father won't fall for it. The devil's incarnation licked his lips. Although he was a bit crazy, he was not stupid. You want me to help you, right? Yes. Li Fan simply laid his cards on the table. I want you to send me to Vladivostok, and in the meantime, I will protect your safety. Look, even a demon needs my protection. The devil's incarnation laughed strangely. Li Fan frowned. I told you, I'm not a demon, I'm a human. In short, if you don't want to follow me, we can make a deal. If you send me to Vladivostok, I'll guarantee your safety. What do you think? The devil's incarnation frowned and seemed to be thinking. I think you should have noticed that the Russian border seems to be under martial law. Li Fan said, your smuggling this time should be very important. Without me, you wouldn't have been able to do it. Without me, you wouldn't have been able to do it. The devil incarnate laughed mischievously. Li Fan cursed inwardly. Damn it, this guy is crazy, but why is his brain so good? It was too weird. This was not the result that Li Fan wanted, but the devil incarnate agreed, okay, deal. But how to go, I decide. You decide how to deal with the pursuers. Okay. Although he was unhappy, Li Fan could only temporarily travel together with the devil's incarnation. Not to mention, this was a deal that he made himself. No matter what, his mission needs to be completed. From this road straight to the depths, we can reach Vladivostok. The devil's incarnation said, took out a pair of binoculars from his arms and looked into the distance. But, there are so many sentries. I don't know what they are looking for. Is it because some big shot came to Russia recently, so martial law is imposed? Li Fan couldn't help but mutter. They are not sentries. The devil's incarnation suddenly groaned, damn it, they are mercenaries. Mercenaries? Yes, I saw the badge they hid under their collar. Polar Bear, this is a notorious mercenary group. They specialize in doing dirty work. These guys came out like a swarm of bees, I guess they are looking for someone or something. The devil's incarnation frowned, I have 10 pounds of heroin on me, it's not enough for them to make such a big fuss. He turned his head and glanced at Li Fan, what did you carry? This has nothing to do with you. Li Fan's eyes carried a hint of threat, for your own good, it's best not to ask too much. Maybe I shouldn't go with you. Then you can't cross the border. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders, you make your own choice, I never force others to do things for me. Since I have made a deal with you, I won't change it. This is my principle. The devil's incarnation held the shotgun, it's just a few mercenaries, this lord will blow their heads off. It's better to keep a low profile. Li Fan pressed the devil's incarnation's thick arm, these mercenaries are not easy to deal with, try to keep a low profile. I saw something good. The devil's incarnation licked his chapped lips, while Li Fan squatted there, staring into the distance, and said, you have your eyes on that motorcycle? Several mercenaries were riding black Honda motorcycles, in this place, this kind of motorcycle was very sturdy and durable. Fuck, it's so far away, how did you see it? The devil's incarnation was a little shocked, do you have binoculars in your eyes? My eyesight is just slightly better. How did you do it? Do I exercises more often? The devil's incarnation's worldview was collapsing, this boy who looked like a student, how could he always do things that exceeded his expectations? Let's go, we'll steal one over. Li Fan glanced at a mercenary riding over. There were usually 2 mercenaries on a motorcycle, one in charge of riding, and the other in charge of searching. These 2 brothers rode all the way here, seemingly searching for the traces of the realm crosser. At this moment, Li Fan appeared in their line of sight. The 2 immediately spoke in Russian language, screamed, and pointed their guns at Li Fan. Li Fan raised his hands, indicating that he was surrendering. The 2 men stopped the motorcycle in front of him, one pointed his gun at Li Fan, and the other came forward to search Li Fan's body. But at this moment, a gunshot rang out, and the head of the guy behind was blown up. The mercenary who went to search Li Fan's body was suddenly shocked, he quickly turned around, but Li Fan grabbed his head from behind and twisted it. With a crack, the man's neck was broken, and he fell to the ground dead. My goodness, you're really ruthless. The devil's incarnation was a little surprised, he didn't expect that a student like Li Fan would be so ruthless when killing people. When these people killed us, they didn't show any mercy. Li Fan saw the devil's incarnation's eyes and knew what he wanted to say, so he answered lightly. Some people taught me some principles, when someone wants to kill you, try to act a little earlier than them. That's why I said you're a demon, the devil's incarnation muttered, and then rode on the motorcycle. My little baby, let me ride you. Chapter 444. The devil's incarnation rode his motorcycle with Li Fan at the back. The 2 of them headed towards the direction of Vladivostok. Bored along the way, Li Fan could not help but ask a question. Devil's incarnation, what's your real name? What does that have to do with you? The devil's incarnation crooked his mouth, this father is called the devil's incarnation. Looks like you don't dare to say it. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders, then I won't ask. Fuck, it's not that I don't dare to say it, it's that I don't want to say it. The devil's incarnation was so angry that his nose crooked, this father's name is not nice to hear. That's not necessarily true, tell me about it. Don't you know that curiosity killed the cat? Great, fortunately I'm not a cat. The devil's incarnation was speechless, in short, you can just call me the devil's incarnation. This guy refused to say his name, so Li Fan could not do anything about it. He was thinking about how to trick this guy's real name. But at this moment, the sound of an engine came from behind. Pa pa pa. The sound of a rifle firing brought a series of flashes in the dark night. The devil's incarnation quickly lowered his body and exclaimed again and again, damn, they've caught up. You drive in peace, leave the rest to me. Li Fan said as his body bounced back and jumped into the air. His body drew a black line in the air and drew a circle in the air. Then he put his legs together in the air and used the agile monkey jumps on the tree, fiercely kicking a riding mercenary behind him, sending him flying. Li Fan stepped on the motorcycle, his body bounced again and jumped up. The mercenaries behind did not dare to be negligent. They raised their rifles and aimed at Li Fan, who was in the air. The bullets were like raindrops, shooting toward Li Fan. But Li Fan wrapped his body with true energy and fell down like a cannonball. The sky-swallowing toad's defense made Li Fan feel like he was wearing an invisible iron coat. He instantly fell like a cannonball, directly smashing on top of an SUV. Bang! The front of the SUV was immediately flattened by Li Fan, and the entire vehicle flipped over. The mercenaries on it were all flung out and smashed to pieces. As for Li Fan, he landed on the ground and used his qinggong to catch up to the other motorcycle. He directly grabbed the back seat of the motorcycle with one hand. The mercenaries above still wanted to shoot at Li Fan, but Li Fan's innate qi directly deflected the bullets. He smiled at the mercenary, then raised his palm, lifted the motorcycle, and threw it far away. Li Fan continued to run and attack in the dark, forcefully defeating the pursuers behind him. 5 minutes later, no one was chasing them anymore. When Li Fan returned to the Devil's Incarnation's motorcycle, the Devil's Incarnation's hair stood on end. You still say you're not a demon? A man called the Devil Incarnate was now scared by another boy to the point of wanting to pee. In this world, how many people like you are there? Innumerable. How would Li Fan know how many people practiced martial arts? However, there shouldn't be too many people who were stronger than him. What exactly did you bring, for these polar bears to chase you non-stop? The Devil's Incarnation could not help but ask as he rode the motorcycle. Something you shouldn't ask. Li Fan did not even know what he was delivering, but he was actually being chased by so many mercenaries. However, if it was easy to transport, the other party would not have asked him to escort it. 1,000,000 yuan worth of goods was definitely worth it. The two of them rode for an entire night, and the motorcycle's fuel was all used up before they arrived at Vladivostok. Although this Russian square was not very big, there were a lot of people. Many Russians and Chinese were gathered here, and the goods that Li Fan wanted to deliver were going to be delivered here. The reason why he chose such a crowded place was probably to deceive people. Li Fan changed into an ordinary black plush coat, a red scarf, and a local Russian plush hat on his head. If one did not look at his face, he would look no different from a Russian teenager. Li Fan was carrying a mysterious box on his back, and he was waiting for the person who was going to hand over the goods to him. The other party would also be wearing a red scarf, just like him. After handing over the task, the mission would be completed. The Devil Incarnation was squatting in the corner, bored, and drinking authentic vodka. He had already arrived at the place, but this guy was still following him, as if he wanted to watch the show. After all, the Devil Incarnation was also very curious about what Li Fan was going to hand over. What could it be that could provoke the notorious polar bears to send so many troops to snatch it? Unlike China, a place like Russia was simply a mercenaries' paradise. Many mercenaries' headquarters were here, and the polar bears were even more so. The Devil Incarnation chewed on the red sausage while looking around, and then spoke to Li Fan through the earphone he bought at the last minute. Your people don't seem to be coming. He glanced at the clock. It's been an hour. Something probably happened on the way. I'll wait for him. You're really stubborn. The Devil Incarnation took a big gulp of vodka. Are all demons like this? This is a principle. We do business with principles. Li Fan said firmly, which made the Devil Incarnation a little speechless. In the smuggling line, there will never be principles. Money is the only standard. I'm not like you. Hurry up and fall down. How can there be clean money in this line of work? We're all the same. The Devil Incarnation scolded, why are you pretending to be an angel? What do you know? Li Fan didn't want to pay attention to the devil incarnation. If he wasn't more familiar with this place, Li Fan wouldn't have bothered to let him follow him to watch the show. Little angel, did you notice? Notice what? Li Fan didn't know what this guy was doing. Notice that there are fewer and fewer people here. Are you being paranoid? Li Fan said that this madman's brain might be abnormal again. There were so many people in this square that he couldn't even count them. How did he know that there were fewer and fewer people? Anyway, it'll probably be lively in a while. The devil incarnation said, I'll go watch the show from afar. You can pray for your own luck. Get lost. Li Fan looked at the devil incarnation walking out of the crowd and was too lazy to care about him. This guy was no different from a psychopath. Li Fan stood in the crowd and continued to wait for the other party's arrival. But after half an hour, the number of people in the square had decreased by at least half. Li Fan finally had some vigilance, but at this time, a black iron can was suddenly thrown at Li Fan's feet. Bang! White smoke suddenly sprayed out and hit Li Fan's nose. A choking and pungent smell made Li Fan almost collapse. The remaining people in the square took off their coats, revealing the polar bear military uniform inside. Chapter 445. Li Fan finally believed that the psychopath, the devil incarnate, did not lie to him. These mercenaries were waiting for him. They were ambushing him. However, they were just ordinary mercenaries. No matter how many of them came, Li Fan was not afraid. The rifles in the hands of these mercenaries could not do anything to him, but when he saw a mercenary carrying a rocket launcher, Li Fan was speechless. No matter how powerful he was, it was impossible for him to use his body to fight against a rocket launcher. Li Fan looked around and saw that he was surrounded by mercenaries. The mercenary carrying the rocket launcher had already aimed at Li Fan and was ready to pull the trigger. The impact of the rocket launcher's explosion was something he could not withstand. As Li Fan was worrying, a gunshot came from the ground and the rocket soldier's head immediately burst open. Sniper! Be careful! The mercenaries roared. Li Fan instantly captured the trajectory of the bullet. He glanced at the tower in the distance. The devil incarnate was carrying a sniper rifle and gulping down a mouthful of vodka. This guy had actually helped him. However, more mercenaries ran into the square from the surroundings, each of them holding a rifle in their hands. Without any explanation, they started firing at Li Fan. Obviously, these mercenaries did not want to spare Li Fan's life. They only cared about what Li Fan was carrying. Li Fan did not hesitate at all. He took out his trump card. Sky-swallowing toad. Li Fan stretched out his hands and raised them up. There were a total of more than 100 mercenaries around him. The rifles in their hands were lifted up by Li Fan's true chi and pushed into the air. These mercenaries were a little dumbfounded. This was the first time such a situation had happened. As for Li Fan, he had already rushed out. He directly pulled out a short sword from his backpack. This short sword was only the length of a palm, but when Li Fan swung it, the mechanism inside popped out, and the treasured sword grew bit by bit until it was more than a meter long. Li Fan poured his true chi into the sword. He operated the ape-faced Buddha's heavenly law phenomenon to simulate the sword chi of the Murong family. Li Fan swung his sword and sent out a wave of sword energy, directly cutting the bodies of the 3 mercenaries in front of him into 2. This was just the beginning, the bloody beginning. Li Fan charged into the crowd and fought desperately. The sword in his hands swung out a sword chi that was like a half-moon. It continuously swept out, sweeping the surroundings time and time again, reaping the lives of those mercenaries. When Li Fan was in the small town at the foot of Mount Hua, he had specially asked a blacksmith in the town to forge this sword. This sword was made of alloy and could be retracted to make it easy to carry around. After infusing it with true chi, it became Li Fan's divine weapon. Relying on this treasured sword, Li Fan continued to kill in the crowd, sending even more mercenaries to meet God. But at this moment, an armored vehicle drove over. There was a heavy machine gun mounted on it, and it kept shooting at Li Fan. Li Fan had a long sword in his hand. He continuously waved the sword in his hand, sending all the bullets flying in front of him. No matter how dense the rain of bullets was, it was unable to break through the defense of Li Fan's sword. Although the speed of the bullets was fast, Li Fan's unique ability allowed him to overcome this point. The moment Li Fan saw that the armored vehicle was changing the ammunition belt, Li Fan suddenly waved the long sword in his hand and heavily slashed. The earth seemed to be torn apart. A sword chi flew out vertically and directly slashed the armored vehicle. A deep gully was left on the armored vehicle, and the machine gun on it was also cut in half. Li Fan jumped more than 10 meters away and landed on the armored vehicle. The long sword in his hand fiercely stabbed into the roof of the armored vehicle. Blood splattered out. Li Fan pulled out the long sword. His body was covered in blood, causing the surrounding people to feel fear. He is a demon. For the second time, the demon incarnate felt his hair stand on end. The Polar Bear Mercenaries battalion was almost destroyed, and the person who did all of this was only one person. No, it was a demon. Just as Li Fan was killing everyone, 4 mercenaries suddenly walked over from the side. These 4 mercenaries were wearing heavy metal armor. This was a newly developed exoskeleton armor that could greatly enhance the combat ability of individual soldiers. One of the mercenaries had already walked in front of Li Fan. He waved his mechanical arm and directly swatted Li Fan's body away like a fly. Li Fan crashed into an SUV behind him, flattening it. Fuck, Conqueror. When the demon incarnate saw these exoskeleton combat equipment, he could not help but be stunned. This is really fucking awesome. I can't believe you've made this thing. Conqueror, this is an extremely expensive individual combat system. A set of this equipment costs at least 5 million USD. To make such a big move and even spend a lot of money, what is the Polar Bear Mercenaries after? The demon incarnate's eyes fell on the backpack that Li Fan was protecting. At this time, Li Fan was preparing to fight the 4 conquerors. Each of the 4 conquerors popped out 2 sharp blades from their wrists. They stepped on the tracks and quickly rushed toward Li Fan. A conqueror had already rushed in front of Li Fan, 2 sharp blades quickly sweeping across. Li Fan's body jumped and avoided this fatal attack. At the same time, he landed on the head of the conqueror and directly pierced its helmet with his sword. Following that, Li Fan raised his leg and kicked the conqueror's body, knocking over another conqueror behind it. There were still 2 conquerors in front of Li Fan. When Li Fan landed on the ground, he directly used both hands to grab the arm of a conqueror that was swatting over his head and fiercely smashed it into the square in front of him. As for the last conqueror, Li Fan forcibly broke its arms and dismembered it bit by bit. With just Li Fan alone, he forcefully killed 4 conquerors. This kind of strength was truly comparable to the demons in the mercenaries' hearts. However, just when Li Fan was a little relaxed, 2 armored vehicles suddenly appeared beside him. Each armored vehicle was equipped with a large loudspeaker. The sound waves erupted and assaulted Li Fan's ears, nearly causing Li Fan to spit out blood. His internal organs were churning and his ears were screaming. It was as though his entire body was about to collapse. The powerful sound waves directly attacked Li Fan's organs. It was as though Li Fan would be torn to shreds in the next second. Li Fan was in extreme pain. He half knelt on the ground and used his sword to support his body. It was as though Li Fan would become a pile of minced meat in the next second. The surrounding mercenaries pulled out the handguns from their waists and aimed them at Li Fan once again. As long as they pulled the trigger, even if Li Fan was not killed by the sound waves, he would be turned into a sieve by the bullets. The Devil's Incarnate frowned. With this kind of situation, there was no way Li Fan could survive. The show was probably going to end here. It was time for him to run. Chapter 446. At this critical moment, Li Fan suddenly roared and smashed his hands on the ground. The innate chi quickly condensed into his hands, and like two nuclear bombs, it followed his hands and hit the square together. Boom! The true energy exploded violently, and a half-meter deep pit appeared under Li Fan's body. The surrounding floor continued to shatter, and the spider pattern cracks spread rapidly like a plague. The armored vehicles on both sides directly sank in, and the direction of the sound wave cannon was also forced to turn in another direction. As for Li Fan, he was like a beast that had been released from its cage. A red light flashed in his eyes. Li Fan slowly stood up. His hat was blown away and the black velvet coat on his body became tattered and swayed with the wind. He shook the sword in his hand and the blade of the sword shrank to half a meter long. At the same time, the sword hilt was elongated to about 1.5 meters long and was held in Li Fan's hand. A treasured sword had now turned into a spear. Li Fan infused his true qi into the spear and it immediately took shape. He leaped forward like a god of war descending from the sky and the spear in his hand swept down fiercely. Bang! The armored vehicle in front of him that was trying to climb out of the pit was directly smashed into a discus by Li Fan's spear. At the same time, another armored vehicle drove over from behind and the sonic cannon on it once again aimed at Li Fan. However, Li Fan's true qi could still withstand the power of a sonic cannon. He turned around and the spear in his hand left his hand. Like a bolt of lightning, it instantly pierced through the armored vehicle. The steel plate that was 3 centimeters thick could not withstand Li Fan's thunderous spear. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and the spear that was thrown out was pulled back into his hand by his true qi. He turned around and looked at the mercenaries in front of him. He straightened his spear and a smile hung on the corner of his mouth. The polar bear mercenaries were so scared that they peed their pants. Was this young man really a devil? This was the first time they had encountered such an enemy. No, he wasn't human at all. Vladivostok Square, which had a long history, was now in a mess, worse than ruins. Li Fan stood in the middle of the ruins, holding a spear. He was like a war god of China, disintegrating all the enemy's attacks. The polar bear mercenaries seemed to have a strong military force and a powerful background. Despite the chaos in the square, no police or army showed up. However, at this moment, a transport helicopter flew over from the sky. This transport helicopter had a distance of 30 meters from the ground, and a person jumped down from it. With a bang, both of his feet firmly stomped on the ground, shattering the already messy ground once again. This guy half squatted on the ground, then slowly stood up. This guy was 2 meters tall, and his body was thick and muscular. His hair was light yellow and slightly white, and he had a pair of blue eyes. He seemed to be of Russian descent. In addition to its bear-like body, this fellow also had a right arm that was completely made of some kind of alloy. It was very mechanical and looked very lifelike. This arm was also printed with the polar bear logo. Obviously, he was an ace mercenary of the polar bear mercenaries. Fuck his father. The devil's incarnation exclaimed in the earpiece, even thunder is here. Thunder? What the hell is that? Li Fan heard the shouting in the earpiece and could not help but ask. This son of a bitch, he is the number one of the polar bear mercenaries. The devil's incarnation's voice was filled with despair, he is here. We are all crippled. I shouldn't have come to watch the show, I should have left earlier. Fuck. What are you afraid of? I am here, you won't die. Li Fan lowered his voice and told the devil's incarnation, I said that I will ensure your safety, and I will definitely do what I said. Thunder is a modified human. His body has been injected with strengthening genes, and all aspects of his body have reached the limits of humans. Moreover, he has an alloy arm. If you are a devil, then he is a nightmare. Are you afraid? Why would I be afraid? At most, my head will roll on the ground. When the devil's incarnation heard this, he immediately exploded, fuck, when I came out to mess around, who knows where these 3 donkeys were pinching shit eggs. As the devil's incarnation spoke, he directly raised his sniper rifle and aimed at thunder below. Bang! The Devil's incarnation was using a Soviet-style SVD, it was unknown where he got it from. Although the lethality of the SVD bullet was not as good as the AWP or the Barrett, within 200 meters, it could still directly smash the human body's organs. Thunder suddenly raised his right hand and used his alloy arm to block the bullet. Dang! The bullet bounced off his palm and then fell to the ground. The defense of the alloy arm was too strong, even a sniper rifle could not do anything to it. Thunder also captured the position of the Devil's incarnation. He pointed his finger at the position of the Devil's incarnation and opened his 4 fingers, which contained 4 cannon fire, as if wanting to smash the tower where the Devil's incarnation was. But at this time, Li Fan made his move. He picked up his big gun and waved his hand, lifting Thunder's wrist. Dang! The hand cannon shot out and blasted the spire of the tower, blowing it up. The rubble fell down, and the Devil's incarnation squatted on the balcony, avoiding the rubble. Bang! Thunder raised his leg and kicked Li Fan's crotch, causing Li Fan to slide backwards. Unlike martial arts masters, these mercenaries specialized in attacking the weakest part of a person's body. If Li Fan did not have true chi to protect his body, this crotch kick would have caused him to explode. Thunder's body was indeed strong to the limit. In almost an instant, he appeared in front of Li Fan, his right hand immediately grabbed Li Fan's neck, and lifted him into the air. Thunder's cold palm tightened, as if he wanted to break Li Fan's neck. The strength of this guy's alloy hand was too great. Even Li Fan found it a little hard to bear. And being lifted from the ground, Li Fan's legs could not transfer strength to his waist, so he could not transfer strength to his whole body. If this continued, it would be a vicious cycle. But Li Fan was Li Fan. He raised his long spear and stabbed it towards Thunder's face. Thunder stretched out his left hand, trying to grab Li Fan's spear. But when his fingers touched the spear, they were shaken off by the true chi. Thunder was not stupid. He growled and threw Li Fan away. Boom! Li Fan smashed a statue beside him, and his body fell among the rubble. His whole body was almost sitting on the stone throne. Chinese monkey. Kill. Thunder spat out half-baked Chinese from his mouth. He looked at Li Fan and revealed an ugly smile. Chapter 447. This guy's strength is definitely huge and he also has an alloy arm. It is indeed very difficult to deal with him. Polar Bear's #1 mercenary, Thunder stretched out his alloy arm and pointed his 4 fingers at Li Fan again. Bye-bye. With a bang, a laser cannon shot out from his fingers and hit Li Fan's body. Boom! Smoke exploded and rolled out in an instant. Thunder tidied up his arm and said in Russian, "Go and retrieve the Z-virus. That Chinese monkey is dead." More than a dozen mercenaries immediately walked towards Li Fan. One of them was holding a rifle and seemed to be preparing to shoot Li Fan. But at this moment, a hand suddenly grabbed his head. The fingers were like sharp blades that directly pierced through the top of the mercenary's head and sank into his skull. The mercenary did not even have the time to scream before he died under the hands of this devil. Li Fan slowly stood up and wiped his fingers clean on the mercenary's body. "Sorry. I was a little scared by you." Li Fan threw the mercenary's corpse away, then pointed at Thunderclap on the opposite side. "Come here, I'll play with you." "Interesting," Thunder grinned, tenacious. "Chinese monkey." Thunder did not jump over directly. Instead, he carried a Gatling gun and turned the motor. As he fired, he slowly walked towards Li Fan. Li Fan waved the long sword in his hand and continuously knocked away the bullets in front of him. When he got close, Thunder suddenly waved the Gatling gun. Below the Gatling gun was a saber that slashed towards Li Fan's head. Li Fan raised his sword and cut the Gatling gun in half. Thunder's hand grabbed Li Fan's shoulder as if he wanted to put Li Fan down. However, Li Fan had already adapted to Thunder's attack rhythm. He would definitely not fall for it again. "Sorry, I've already seen through your attack." Li Fan stretched out 3 fingers. I'll finish you in 3 moves. Thunder did not quite understand what Li Fan was saying, but its alloy hand had already grabbed Li Fan's shoulder. However, Li Fan turned around and moved his feet. He forcefully dragged Thunder's body up and smashed it onto the ground in front of him. Shoulder throw. It was an ordinary attack, but it was effective against Thunder. Thunder smashed a hole in the ground, but he raised his legs and clamped them on Li Fan's neck. As long as Thunder twisted, Li Fan's neck would be broken. However, Li Fan simply bent over and slapped Thunder. Boom! Thunder's body erupted with a powerful force, and many places on his body were torn open, leaving bloody scars. At the same time, a pit appeared on the ground. As Thunder spat out a mouthful of blood, it raised its alloy hand and aimed its hand cannon at Li Fan. However, Li Fan grabbed Thunder's palm and bent it upward. With a cracking sound, Thunder's alloy hand was actually bent upwards. Li Fan then stepped on Thunder's shoulder and forcefully pulled off Thunder's alloy arm. Electricity flickered as Li Fan threw the alloy arm to the side. Thunder's body was very strong, and his alloy arm was also very powerful. However, what kind of person was Li Fan? As an expert who had reached the peak of perfection, once he brought out his full strength, how could he lose? Is there anyone else who wants to play? Li Fan looked around. None of the mercenaries dared to casually step forward. If not, then I'm leaving. As Li Fan said this, he turned around and was about to leave. However, he was suddenly shocked because he touched his back and found that the box in his backpack was broken. He turned around and found that Thunder, who was originally lying on the ground, suddenly held some kind of alloy syringe in his left hand and instantly pierced it into his vein. Fuck, what is this thing? Devils incarnate, do you know what the Z virus is? I don't know. I've never heard of it, but it's definitely different from the powder I usually send. The Devil's Incarnate was a little stunned. He had never seen such a situation before. I hope it's not something too excessive. As soon as Li Fan's voice fell, Thunder's body suddenly began to swell. His muscles were already very strong to begin with. Now, his muscles expanded by 2 times and became extremely thick, just like a gorilla. A lot of flesh suddenly extended out from the place where his broken arm was, connecting to the alloy arm and pulling it back to Thunder's arm. Thunder slowly stood up and became more than 3 meters tall. He was many heads taller than Li Fan and could almost use his shadow to cover Li Fan. Li Fan raised his head and looked at him, not knowing what to say. Fuck, what a waste of my words just now. Is this the effect of that medicine? Li Fan thought of the medicine that Thunder obtained. That thing should be the item that he was supposed to escort, but now it had been snatched away by this group of Russians and even used. Fuck you, give me back my 1 million. As Li Fan spoke, he really wanted to tear Thunder in half. However, after Thunder absorbed this unknown medicine, it was as if he had been injected with hormones and directly roared at Li Fan. Roar! A wave of air directly blew Li Fan's body away. Li Fan was a little stunned. Fuck, just a roar and he blew me away. Did this guy have a large hairdryer in his stomach? Bang! Thunder stretched out his hand and directly broke a statue beside him and threw it at Li Fan. It was a bronze statue in the shape of a human. Li Fan immediately lay on the ground and dodged the statue's attack. Bang! A building in the distance was immediately smashed into ruins by the statue. Fuck, how strong is this? Li Fan couldn't help but be speechless. This strength was a bit too strong. No wonder this medicine was worth 1 million just to escort it here. It was no wonder that Polar Bear had spent so much manpower and resources to get it. Whoever could get this potion would be able to build a terrifying army. Fuck your grandpa, what is this situation? Even the Devil's Incarnation was scared to the point of peeing. This was the first time he had seen such a terrifying thing. Devil's Incarnation, you better hide well. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, Thunder suddenly slapped Li Fan and sent him flying. Boom! Li Fan was like a fly that was swatted away. His whole body flew dozens of meters away and smashed a small church behind him. How terrifying! The devil's incarnation was a little desperate. He was afraid that he would die here today. However, Li Fan's voice came from the walkie-talkie again. Devil's incarnation, you hide well. I can't control the next battle. Chapter 448. Sky-swallowing toad. Li Fan entered his strongest state. That thunder with a body like King Kong suddenly pounced on Li Fan. After using this drug, his intelligence had obviously deteriorated. His moves were no longer the exquisite fighting technique from before, but the most primitive attack. But with his body and strength, even this kind of primitive attack had the most terrifying threat. However, Li Fan still stood there and did not dodge. He looked at the huge figure descending from the sky with both hands smashing down on his head. And Li Fan's own palms were behind him and then suddenly pushed forward. Money Toad spitting bead. The white bead was held in Li Fan's hand and fiercely blasted at the falling humanoid monster. The white energy bead continued to twist and swell. In the end, it pushed Thunder's huge body and sent him flying into the air. Bloom! Li Fan clenched his fist and the bead in the air pulled Thunder's body and exploded. With a bang, it was as if a huge firecracker had been ignited in the air. Red blood sprinkled down like rain. Li Fan was very excited. His eyes were red, the blood had stimulated his inner demon. Devil incarnate. Li Fan's voice had a trace of hoarseness as he called out in a low voice. What's wrong? Quickly escape. The strong stimulation made Li Fan's inner demon very strong. He suddenly felt that it was better to let it out than to block it. If he continued to suppress the inner demon, it would instead cause him to completely go berserk. Right. Right. Listen to your own heart. The inner demon kept roaring in his ears. Li Fan felt the scene in front of him was getting darker, as if darkness was about to descend. The world turned blood red in an instant. Execute this man. He destroyed the Z virus. Those polar bear mercenaries received the next order, they must execute Li Fan. All the mercenaries turned their guns and attacked Li Fan. The huge mercenary group seemed to want to drown Li Fan. But at this moment, Li Fan suddenly roared towards the sky. The cultivation technique in his body automatically switched to Star Luo Divine technique. The surrounding mercenaries had already surrounded Li Fan. All of them pulled the trigger and fired at Li Fan. But Li Fan just stood there, his eyes seemed to be looking at the sky, as if he was gazing into the depths of the invisible universe. And when the bullets hit his body, they could not even break through his true energy. Li Fan seemed to have an invisible steel coat, constantly blocking those fatal bullets. However, the mercenaries' firepower was very strong. The bullets shot out as if they were free, as if they were going to tear Li Fan into pieces. But Li Fan ignored these bullets, as if they were not a threat to him. He only took a deep breath, and the surrounding mercenaries were suddenly stunned. Their bodies were becoming emptier and emptier. Their life force was forcibly collected from their bodies, then turned into true energy and was sucked into Li Fan's nose. Li Fan's true energy grew rapidly. More than 100 mercenaries' life force was instantly sucked away by Li Fan. These mercenaries did not die on the real battlefield. Instead, they all died of exhaustion in this kind of encirclement. This strange situation made one of the polar bear commanders dumbfounded. He was standing on top of an armored vehicle 100 meters away, which was why he was lucky enough to escape the disaster. Demon. This guy is definitely a demon. The commander let out a moan like the devil incarnate. Oh my god, this Chinese kid, why is he so terrifying? Must kill him. The commander felt that if he did not kill that Chinese kid here today, their polar bear would completely become a second-rate mercenary group in the future. Under his order, an old Soviet tank slowly drove over. The tracks left 2 clear marks on the ground, and the barrel was aimed at Li Fan. Compared to this tank, Li Fan's body seemed especially small, as if he could be crushed into dregs at any time. Boom! Flames appeared, and in the blink of an eye, the artillery shell arrived in front of Li Fan. No matter how strong Li Fan's true energy was, it was impossible for him to block the artillery shell. Especially when the tank fired an armor-piercing shell. Not to mention Li Fan's true energy protection, even a 5 cm steel plate would be pierced through. The artillery shell hit the ground, and Li Fan jumped into the air in an instant, then quickly approached the tank. This tank with 4 cm armor weighed about 10 tons, but Li Fan grabbed the barrel and lifted it up. Li Fan held the barrel and swung it, sending the tank flying and smashing it into the mercenary group behind. Following that, Li Fan turned into a violent storm and instantly pounced into the crowd. Although Li Fan, who had practiced the Black Tiger Emperor form, was currently maintaining the Star Luo divine skill, his cultivation foundation was still there. Li Fan's fingers were like daggers, easily tearing the mercenaries' throats and digging out their hearts. He was like a ferocious tiger, killing in the midst of a flock of sheep. Not a single mercenary was a match for Li Fan. All his enemies became corpses. Blood dyed the square. This was not an encirclement, but a massacre. Not a single mercenary would forget this day. They would forever remember this terrible nightmare. Those experienced mercenaries, who had experienced countless bullets and bullets, had climbed back up from the front lines of death time and time again. They had courage, guts, and were not afraid of killing or death. But at this moment, they were finally afraid. Because they were not facing an enemy, but a terrifying demon. They could not defeat such an enemy. They were only his victims. Li Fan was not tired at all. He used battle to nurture battle. As he fought, he absorbed the life force around him to replenish his lost true energy. As for the mercenaries, they finally began to disperse because of fear. They lost their will to fight and only wanted to escape. Li Fan stood there. The true energy in his body continued to gather, and the image of a giant toad appeared behind him. Although it was a little blurry, it had some embryonic form. The giant toad opened its huge mouth and took a deep breath. Some of the mercenaries who had escaped far away were immediately sucked back by the giant toad's huge mouth and fell in front of Li Fan. Li Fan used his claws to deal with them cleanly and efficiently without the slightest bit of sloppiness. With this massacre technique, almost no mercenaries could escape from Li Fan's palms. The entire square was blood red, appearing even more dazzling under the sunlight. There were corpses and minced meat beneath Li Fan's feet. There were no survivors. The world seemed to have quietened down. The devil incarnate was already dumbfounded. He sat on the tower in a daze, feeling as if he was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 449. Li Fan stood alone in the bloodstained square for a full 10 minutes. During these 10 minutes, no one came to disturb him. This area seemed to have become a forbidden area, and no one dared to set foot in it. Li Fan was like a devil at the end of the world. Standing under the scarlet sun, he seemed to have condensed into a statue. But the devil's incarnation had slowly woken up. If he continued to stand there, the Russian army would crush him. At that time, no matter how strong and powerful Li Fan was, he would be crushed by the powerful war machine of the country. But Li Fan was standing there. Even if he did not move, the devil's incarnation was a little afraid. Should I wake him up? Once he wakes him up, what if he kills me? At this moment, the devil's incarnation hesitated. The devil's incarnation was not afraid of death, but he did not want to die without knowing why. But no matter what, this kid could be considered to have taken revenge for his brother. The devil incarnate took a light breath. It was as if he had thrown a pebble into a calm pool of water, causing ripples to form. Li Fan, who was motionless, suddenly turned his head and looked in the direction of the devil's incarnation. His body moved as fast as lightning, and he quickly ran toward the devil's incarnation while sticking close to the ground. The devil's incarnation was shocked. But this was a tower that was more than 50 meters tall. He still had time to escape. He stretched out his hand and quickly carried the parachute bag on his back. This was his only tool to escape. Previously, there were too many mercenaries surrounding him. The reason why the devil's incarnation did not use it was because he was not a fool. Opening the parachute bag in front of those mercenaries was tantamount to throwing a moving target in front of them. But now was indeed a good time. He had to quickly escape before that kid went up the tower. However, things did not go as he wished. Before the devil incarnate could put on his parachute, Li Fan was already on the outer wall of the tower. With a few steps, he actually ran vertically to the top of the tower. Before the devil's incarnation could react, Li Fan had already arrived in front of him. He landed on a railing in front of him and stepped lightly on it. A pair of red eyes stared at the devil's incarnation. It was as if two sharp scimitars were stabbing into the devil's incarnation's heart. The devil incarnate was afraid. The devil incarnate was also a person who lived with his head on his belt. He didn't know how long he could live, so he enjoyed the principle of carpe diem. Therefore, to the devil incarnate, death was not scary. After all, he was always accompanied by death. But at this moment, the devil incarnate was not afraid of his body, but of his soul. This kind of fear was something he could not resist. It was like a magic attack that penetrated deep into his bones. The devil incarnate took a step back and almost fell from the tower. Li Fan stared at him as if there was a hand grabbing his heart and slowly squeezing it. He was in despair. His life had probably come to an end at this moment. And in the sky, there was a sudden roar. The helicopter that had just transported Thunder seemed to have returned for reconnaissance. The helicopter circled in the air and finally aimed its powerful cannon at Li Fan, as if it wanted to end this demon's life. Li Fan looked away, and the devil incarnate felt relieved. At the same time, this Chinese demon waved his hand, and the spear on the ground immediately flew up and stabbed out like lightning. It directly pierced the front windshield of the helicopter and stabbed the pilot's chest. Blood gushed out along the spear's body, and the helicopter fell to the ground. At the moment of landing, Li Fan stretched out his hand again and used Dragon Toad Absorption to pull the spear back into his hand. Then it returned to the shape of a knife handle and he inserted it back into his belt. Li Fan was in front of the devil incarnate. The devil incarnate thought that he was dead, but he didn't expect that Li Fan just stretched and then said to the devil incarnate, "I'm sorry, I scared you. It's all settled here. Do you want to send me back?" Okay, the devil incarnate was obviously stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Li Fan would wake up so quickly. Looking at Li Fan's indifferent appearance, he couldn't believe his eyes. Everything was like a dream. The guy who killed people just now was not the lazy teenager in front of him. "What's wrong?" Li Fan asked. "No, nothing," the devil incarnate quickly waved his hand and calmed himself down. "But I'm afraid that the mercenaries have surrounded this place. How should we leave?" "It's okay. I'd like to see which mercenary would dare to stop me." Li Fan smiled, then looked around. At least within a radius of 1,000 meters, there is no one. "Where's your motorcycle? Is it full?" "It's full." The devil incarnate was now full of admiration for Li Fan. This guy was simply unimaginable. He had been in Jianghu for so many years, but this was the first time he had seen such a powerful person. If he could befriend him, it seemed that his future life would really have some benefits. Li Fan. This man, where did he come from? Why does he have such great power? While the pursuers had not arrived, Li Fan and the devil incarnate left the square that had completely disappeared from history. Along the way, Li Fan was not happy. Although he had released his inner demons, his body and mind had a certain degree of comfort. But the mission still failed. That unknown potion was used by old Harry Sabi. But the effect was amazing. It turned old Harry into a monster. In terms of strength, this monster was almost on par with him. If it wasn't for his excellent martial arts, he might not be his opponent. If such a terrifying army was created, then the structure of the entire world might change again. Li Fan sat behind the devil incarnate. Along the way, the devil incarnate did not dare make a sound, afraid that he would provoke Li Fan. Halfway through the journey, the devil incarnate's phone suddenly rang. It was different from Li Fan's phone. Li Fan's phone had long lost its signal. But the devil incarnate was using a dedicated satellite phone, so the signal was very strong. The devil incarnate was swift and fierce. With one hand on the handlebars, he took out his phone with the other and answered the call. Damn it, who is it? The devil incarnate suddenly fell silent, then reached over his shoulder and handed the phone to Li Fan. It's for you, for me. Li Fan was taken aback. Who would call the devil incarnate when looking for him? The two of them had temporarily joined forces when they reached the border. Who in the world had information about them? Chapter 450. Along the way, there was nothing but killing. Li Fan thought about it and realized that there were almost none of them who could still be alive after seeing the two of them. Who exactly was it that was able to find out about them so accurately? This made Li Fan a little shocked. It was already night and the surrounding sky was dark. On both sides, there was a vast expanse of white snow that had fallen into darkness. Only the white light from the motorcycle illuminated the road ahead. In such an environment, no one would be calm when they received such a strange call. Counter soldiers with arms and water with earth. Li Fan picked up his phone and placed it by his ear. Mr. Li, you didn't do a good job on this trip. This sentence made Li Fan fall silent for another 2 seconds. 2 seconds later, he said, Who are you? It's sad to ask such a question. After all, I'm your sugar daddy. The other party said slowly. Li Fan pondered for a moment. This sugar daddy was really capable. He even found his way here. You called me in such a hurry. Are you asking me to refund your money? Li Fan asked. He, how could that be? He did not expect the other party's answer to be quite surprising. After all, the things were still handed over to the other party. Although there were some bumps along the way, you still finished the job. These words made Li Fan's body tremble. He gripped his phone tightly. You're scheming against me. No. I'm not scheming against you. The other party denied it flatly. I might have neglected some things when I was explaining the contact person. After all, no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. A straightforward person doesn't beat around the bush. Li Fan asked directly, Tell me, what's your purpose? Alright, let's get straight to the point. The other party did not hide anything. Instead, he said very openly, I'm sorry that we have to chat in this way, but it's my honor to be able to work with such a powerful expert like Mr. Li. As long as Mr. Li is willing, we can further cooperate and earn more money. I don't think we need to talk anymore. Li Fan felt that this person was very annoying. Mr. Li, don't worry. Have you forgotten how powerful my Z virus is? Z virus? Li Fan recalled the monstrous thunderbolt. It was truly a ghastly sight. As long as I'm willing, I can create even more of these super soldiers. The Z virus was just a failed product, which was why it was called the Z virus. And in my hands, there was a perfect product. It can create the most powerful army for any country. Are you fucking crazy? No, I'm just an arms dealer. The man on the other side laughed. My goal is just to make money, not to start a war. But your money making is based on war. Li Fan said bluntly, I'm sorry, but I can't comply. Mr. Li, don't be in such a hurry to reject me. Anyway, you have nothing else to do now. Why don't you chat with me for a while? On the other hand, the arms dealer on the phone seemed to be in a leisurely mood. This person seemed to be very interested in Li Fan and was determined to cooperate with Li Fan. What else is there to talk about between us? Li Fan snorted coldly. Our ideals are different, and our paths are different. What's the difference between us? Although Li Fan couldn't see the arms dealer's appearance, he could guess that the man on the other side seemed to be laughing at him. Although I'm in the arms business, many people have died because of my weapons. But even without me, there are still other arms dealers. Those who want to start a war will always be able to get their weapons. But you, Mr. Li. You only relied on your own strength to slaughter an entire battalion of mercenaries. You see, when it comes to killing people, you're actually much better than me. Li Fan was unable to refute. The other party's words seemed relaxed, but there were poisonous needles hidden in them, stabbing his wounds again and again. What he said was not wrong at all. When it came to killing people, he had indeed done an earth-shattering case before. Even if Li Fan wanted to defend himself, that person was not him, but his inner demon. But who would believe such words? Releasing his inner demon once had already caused such a terrifying effect. This inner demon was like a double-edged sword. If used well, it could indeed greatly increase one's strength. If not used well, it would instead harm oneself. Li Fan swore that this was the first time he used his inner demon, and it would also be the last time. After all, he didn't have the talent of Jiang Feng, who could become one with the devil and reach the strongest state. Mr. Li, although my words are not pleasant to hear, they are indeed the truth. The other party was still communicating with him. From you, I can see boundless potential. As long as we cooperate, I will be able to research an even more powerful super gene and create an even more powerful super soldier. At that time, the two of us will be able to get rich together. No, we will definitely be as rich as a country. I understand now. Li Fan seemed to have come to a realization. All of this is merely a trap you designed. You made me escort the goods, and then informed the polar bear gang to come and snatch it. I'm afraid it was all to test my strength, right? How can this be called a trap? This is a test. Using an old saying, isn't this a proof of allegiance? Allegiance my ass. Li Fan didn't hesitate and immediately cursed, if you dare to fucking scheme against me again, no matter which stinking ditch you hide in, young master will personally pull you out, pull your head off your head and kick it like a ball. Sir, after the meeting, before the person on the other side could finish, Li Fan had already crushed the phone. When Li Fan returned the broken phone to the devil incarnate was about to cry. Do you know how fucking expensive a satellite phone is? Tell me, are you working for the arms dealer? Li Fan asked coldly, confusing the devil incarnate. Arms dealer? What kind of fucking arms dealer? Fuck, motherfucker. The devil incarnate came to a realization. This time, this daddy's goods were wanted by an arms dealer, motherfucker, this daddy was actually schemed against. You picked it cleanly. Li Fan's voice became colder, I think, should I believe you? Fuck your grandpa, believe it or not. This daddy's fucking brother died. The devil incarnate's body trembled slightly, his death was not worth it at all. Not worth it at all. Listening to the devil incarnate's roar, Li Fan seemed to feel that what he said seemed to be true. If the arms dealer even played with the devil incarnate, then it was really too scary. This meant that the arms dealer had a terrifying spider web channel in his hands, and could plan from thousands of miles away. Then do me a favor, find out who this guy is. Chapter 451. Sam, an internationally famous arms dealer. He's notorious. Ling Tian pulled out a piece of information from the computer and passed it to Li Fan to have a look. I eliminated a lot of arms dealers, and in the end, he is the most likely person. Li Fan had already returned to the small earth building where the company was located, and called a few of the company's generals back to hold such a meeting. This person has a lot of strategic resources in his hands, and countless families have been destroyed by his weapons. Ling Tian continued to introduce this person's information. He claims to be the Uncle Sam after World War II, and likes to use some conspiracies to provoke a war between some small countries, in order to profit from it. This person is extremely ambitious, ruthless, and very shameless. You actually attracted this person's attention. This is really not a good thing. Ling Tian crossed his arms, and somewhat helplessly looked at Li Fan. And this mad dog, you actually brought him back. Fuck, who are you calling a mad dog? Hearing this, the devil's incarnation was immediately unhappy. He roared, and directly picked up a chair from the side, and was about to hit Ling Tian's head. But Ling Tian was unmoved, and continued to say. Wang Tofu, 40 years old, a special forces soldier, carrying the lives of 30 people, and 2 major cases. Hearing Ling Tian's words, the devil's incarnation was stunned. Wang Tofu. You called this tofu? Huang Lei was originally picking his feet at the side. Hearing this, his mouth immediately opened wide, as if he wanted to laugh but did not dare to. The infamous mad dog actually had such a weak name. The devil's incarnation stood there, the veins on his face twitching. Wang Tofu, if I remember correctly, the robbery of a jewelry store in Vietnam, and the theft of a gold store in Russia, were both your handiwork, right? What nonsense are you spouting? Laozi doesn't understand. The devil's incarnation turned his head, and coldly snorted, Laozi is a law-abiding citizen. When I went out to travel, my brother was killed. The reason why Laozi is standing here, is for revenge. Not to listen to your fart. Do you know? One more word, Laozi will stuff this chair into your anus, and then pull it out and stab it into your mouth. I think I'm starting to like this brother. Huang Lei turned his head and said to a young security guard. The young security guard was a little dumbfounded. He obviously didn't know what was going on here. Tofu Wang, whether you admit it or not is your own business. It has nothing to do with me. Ling Tian was very calm. He shrugged his shoulders and said, the decision lies with boss. Ling Tian did not know which big shot he was acquainted with, but his connections were indeed frightening. Li Fan sat at the side, pondering in his heart. The devil incarnate kept saying that he wanted to come back with him. Although he didn't like this person very much, considering that he had been in the underworld for so many years and had some resources, it would be a waste not to use them. So, Li Fan brought him back. However, the devil incarnate was like a firecracker. If used well, it could blow up the enemy. If they didn't use it well, they would end up in a sorry state. Thus, he could only let Ling Tian make the decision for him. While Little Four Eyes was rather intelligent, he was better at scheming and had a stomach full of schemes. Asking him to come up with a plan for people, this was not his area of expertise. Moreover, Bai Lin Luo didn't understand people like them. Ling Tian knew them better. Li Fan, I'm not begging you. The devil incarnate still couldn't let go of his pride. He shouted at Li Fan, we're at most in a cooperative relationship. As long as you're willing to kill that Sabi arms dealer, I'm willing to fight for you. I don't like to be schemed against. Li Fan didn't reply. Instead, he raised his head and asked Ling Tian, does Sam have any other business other than firearms? Yes. Ling Tian nodded, this person is very ambitious. He has connections with the underworld everywhere. In a city, his partner is the Yellow Clothes Syndicate. This was the first time that Li Fan had met such an opponent. However, it didn't mean that he had to take a beating. The Yellow Clothes Syndicate. Alright. Li Fan had some ideas. With them around, Ling Tian will naturally know about my business. That's good too. He'll do the first and I'll do the 15th. Fuck, you want to deal with the Yellow Clothes Syndicate? The devil incarnate was originally cursing at the side. When he heard Li Fan's words, he immediately raised his head. A hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. Yeah, you're scared. Li Fan smiled, if you're scared, you can leave now. It's not too late. What's there to be scared of? I like to fight with people like that, The devil incarnate laughed, the Yellow Clothes Syndicate. Fuck, I don't like them. Their old leader, Sun Jiaoyang, is still a character. That new leader, Wang Baiqiang, who the fuck does he think he is? How dare he act cool in front of me? Let's go, we'll burn Wang Baiqiang's mansion tonight. The devil incarnate's fearless demeanor made Ling Tian and Li Fan smile bitterly at each other. If we want to fight, we have to have a rhythm. Bai Lin Luo had been reading his English book. Even though he attended every meeting, he did not neglect his studies. He raised his head from the book and said, "What's the point of just burning someone else's mansion? What's the point? It feels good. That's good enough. You brats won't understand. Your way of feeling good is equivalent to having sex with a goddess. The price you have to pay is being castrated and turned into a eunuch." Bai Lin Luo looked very innocent. He pushed up his spectacles and said, "We can't do something like injuring 1,000 of our enemy's strength while hurting 2,000 of our own." What, do you have some tricks up your sleeve? The devil incarnate had roamed the pugilistic world for so many years. He really did not think much of a high school student like Bai Lin Luo. Of course, if we want to fight, we have to make the Yellow Clothes Syndicate afraid. Bai Lin Luo stretched out his hand and knocked on the table lightly. Didn't a few of the Yellow Clothes Syndicate offend Li Fan a while ago? It's very simple. Take advantage of this opportunity to teach these forces a lesson in a swift and decisive manner. You think this method will work? Yes, because we only need to pick out a few good fighters. The Yellow Clothes Syndicate has too many people and it's messy. They won't be able to guard against them. As long as we change places every day, we'll beat them to death whenever we see them. They can't track us down and they don't know who we are. This will cause their members to live in fear. This way, it won't be long before the members of the Yellow Uniform Syndicate will slowly fall apart. How many of them will be left in the end? The devil incarnate looked at Bai Lin Luo's bashful smile and gulped. Fuck. Is this guy really a normal high school student? Chapter 452. The devil incarnate had seen two unimaginable high school students. One was Li Fan, whose strength was almost like that of a devil. He single-handedly slaughtered a battalion of polar bear mercenaries. The other was this Bai Lin Luo. This kid was young, but he was extremely cunning. He was full of bad ideas, and he didn't even know it. Even Ling Tian couldn't help but feel a chill down his spine when he heard Bai Lin Luo's idea. This kid, as the brain of Li Fan, he was really extraordinary. Li Fan's thinking was quite upright and simple. But with Bai Lin Luo's help, this kid's way of thinking could easily jump out of the big picture, and even jump out of the limitations of his own growth environment. This was very rare. Even though he was young, he could be Li Fan's first military advisor. His thinking ability was even inferior to Ling Tian himself. The reason why Ling Tian could help Li Fan was because of his strong connections and rich experience. But Bai Lin Luo didn't have these connections. He was still a high school rookie, and had no contact with society at all. His thinking was like playing a game of chess. Everything seemed to be his deduction on the chessboard. Okay. Li Fan stretched out 3 fingers. Let's follow what Little Four Eyes said. I already have some ideas. Li Fan thought about who to start with first. There were too many underground forces in City A. It was time for him to clean up this city. Let's start with the city hospital. Li Fan finally finished copying the homework. It was a holiday homework. If it wasn't for Lin Yuhsn, he would probably be dead. He raised his head and ordered Huang Lei, choose 5 good men and get a broken van with a license plate. I have to do this. The devil incarnate chuckled, full of interest. You can go, but you have to wear a hat and a mask. Li Fan reminded the devil incarnate, you have to put some camouflage on your eyes as a disguise. We have to last for a long time, and there can't be any mistakes. Big brother, then I'll be responsible for driving. Huang Lei thought about it. It seemed that this was the only thing he could do. I told you to practice martial arts, but you didn't want to. Li Fan slapped the back of his head as a warning. You'll be beaten up sooner or later. No, we still have Lu Chang and Lu Zhuang. Lu Chang, Lu Zhuang, these two were now Li Fan's two favorite generals. The two of them were originally just two ordinary farmers who lived on 2 mu of land. They dropped out of school after junior high school and started farming. Later, their family's land was requisitioned by the village chief. The two of them had no choice but to take advantage of the conscription period and serve as sentries in the army for 2 years. They stood guard at the border for 2 years. In the end, when she returned home, her house was demolished because of the highway construction. Her mother was so angry that she died. Together, the two brothers killed the village chief's black clam and secretly burned down the village chief's house. The two of them could no longer stay in the village, so they ran to City A. They followed the yellow uniform group and collected protection fees from the small market every day. Although the two of them felt that life was boring, this was life after all, so they could only grit their teeth and persevere. This kind of life continued until Li Fan recruited them. Lu Chang and Lu Zhuang could actually endure hardships. When Guan Wenbao trained, the two of them were the ones who worked the hardest. Usually, the two of them had flat heads, wore tattered camouflage clothes, and wore liberation shoes. They looked like two honest migrant workers. However, once they really fought, the two of them were full of energy and did not show any mercy. The two of them were jokingly called by Huang Lei as the Golden Thugs of extraordinary security. Tell the two Golden Thugs to stop training tonight. Pack up and get ready to go out for some exercise. Huang Lei gave the young security guard next to him a look. The young security guard understood and went downstairs to call for help. I'll count myself in. Li Fan clenched his fist while Ling Tian hurriedly said. Boss, you're the big brother, you can't do everything by yourself. I'm the boss, not the big brother. This is a company, not a gang. Don't call me wrong in the future. Li Fan reminded Ling Tian. Ling Tian hurriedly patted his mouth. Look at my mouth. It's my fault, please forgive me, boss. It's okay, I can understand what you're thinking. Li Fan patted Ling Tian's shoulder, but this is my first time organizing an activity, so we have to have fun together. Lei is in charge of driving, me, Lu Chang, Lu Zhuang, and Tofu, the four of us are the thugs. I'm called the Devil Incarnate. The Devil Incarnate hurriedly protested. Tofu, you keep a low profile tonight. Be ruthless when you fight, but don't kill anyone. Li Fan ignored his protest and gave him a look at the same time. Li Fan's meaning was very clear, that is to let the Devil Incarnate submit a proof of allegiance. If you want to join Li Fan's team, if you don't show some ability, if you don't follow along, it's absolutely impossible. Okay. After the Devil Incarnate finished speaking, he took out an ordinary mobile phone from his pocket, Nokia 1115. The function was simple, but for a person like the Devil Incarnate, it was very practical. What are you going to do? Seeing the Devil Incarnate was about to make a phone call, Li Fan hurriedly pulled him. Call my buddy and get some firearms. The Devil's Incarnation chuckled, I still have this little bit of ability. Don't worry. I guarantee that everyone has a rocket launcher and blow up the entire city hospital. Blow up your uncle. You're a terrorist. Li Fan angrily punched him. Calm down. If you don't allow me to use firearms, then what should I use? Cold weapons, whatever you want to use. The Devil Incarnate looked around the room and saw a pile of repair tools on the shelf in the corner. His eyes lit up, and he went forward to pick up a chainsaw. Can I use this thing? Fuck off. Li Fan was so angry that he almost peed his pants. This guy was really crazy. He clapped his hands, and a security guard came over and placed some commonly used tools on the table. The Devil Incarnate looked at it, baseball bat, crowbar, baseball bat. The Devil Incarnate rolled his eyes. What are these? Are these for kids to fight? At least give me a shotgun. If the shotgun is not possible, at least get a 7-hole shotgun. If someone dies, it will become a big case. Without waiting for Li Fan to speak, Bai Lin Luo has already explained to Huang Lei, once it becomes a big case, our next plan will be ruined. Damn, this is so frustrating. The devil incarnate was itching to pick up a baseball bat and licked his lips. Can I put some nails on it? That's a fucking mace. Li Fan snatched the baseball bat. The bat is made of metal, how are you going to use it? Lei, go to the warehouse and get some iron nails from that wooden bat. Okay, got it. Huang Lei nodded excitedly. Tonight, there will be a good show. Chapter 453. Lu Shaoxian was 22 years old this year. He usually had nothing to do and was lazy. When he had no money, he would take 2 dead flies and find a restaurant. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, he would throw them into the dishes and rely on this to extort some money. After spending a few days without money, he would use the same trick again. However, Lu Shaoxian might not have received much education and was a little stupid, so he chose to target only one restaurant. In the end, the boss got angry and found a few people to beat him up. Lu Xiaoshuan's source of income had been cut off, so he could only think of other ways. At this time, one of his old friends introduced him to a more reliable job. Going to the hospital to be a scalper. Although he left early and returned late, he was paid 80 yuan a day for every day he stood and rested. It was not just a matter of money. Lu Shaoxian felt that he was part of the yellow uniform group now. Who would dare to offend him? Lu Shaoxian stood in front of the team with his mohawk hair sticking up and a cigarette dangling from his mouth. The patients around them were angry, but they did not dare to say anything. After all, there were so many of them. My mom has a stomachache. I need to register her for an emergency. A farmer from the countryside, carrying his elderly mother on his back, queued for a long time, but did not get a ticket number. Under the guidance of the kind-hearted person, he could only find a scalper here and buy a scalper account. It's an emergency. It looks like appendicitis. Lu Shaoxian had been working in the hospital for a while, and his eyesight had been honed. He rubbed the old lady's stomach and said directly, "Oh my God, how did you see through it so quickly?" Then, "Big brother, I'm counting on you, can you give me a number?" The farmer begged. "Emergency, one number, 1,000, no bargaining." Lu Xiaoshuan's legs trembled. His words almost scared the old farmer to death. "What? I haven't even seen a doctor yet. Why does it cost 1,000 yuan? This year's harvest was not good." He had just married a wife and built a new tiled house. His family did not have much money. The old lady did not have medical insurance, so she had to pay for medical treatment out of her own pocket. According to the old madam, she should just prepare for her funeral and not be a burden to her son. But how could the old farmer do that? He only had one mother, so he had to carry her to the hospital. However, when he heard that it would cost 1,000 yuan to register, the old farmer's heart skipped a beat. After seeing the doctor, his few thousand yuan would not be enough. It was one thing to spend some money, but if it delayed his mother's condition, what should he do? "Are you going to buy it? If you don't want to buy it, get lost." Lu Shaoxian scolded, he couldn't be bothered to deal with this poor fellow. "Damn it, I'm so unlucky. I don't have money to see a doctor." He cursed, and the old farmer immediately knelt down in front of him. "Big brother, please help me. I don't have that much money on me. I still have to save it for my mother's medical expenses." The old farmer begged bitterly, but Lu Shaoxian gave him a slap. "Get lost. If you can't afford it, then get lost." Lu Shaoxian wasn't polite at all. When dealing with this bunch of stinking scoundrels without money, he couldn't be polite at all. He was now a businessman, and everything was about business. What is the art of doing business? Everything is easy when you have money. Without money, we're all screwed. Lu Shaoxian thought that he was doing a good business. The old farmer was also scared out of his wits. The burly farmer couldn't help but hug his head and cry bitterly. But at this moment, a hand was placed on Lu Xiaoshuan's shoulder. What, do you want to buy a ticket? Lu Shaoxian turned around and saw a man wearing a black coat standing behind him. He was wearing a black cap, a black mask, and his eyes were smeared with black paint. His whole person seemed to be hidden in the darkness. His left hand was placed on his shoulder, and his right hand was holding a black brass knuckle. Lu Shaoxian recognized this thing. In his side, it was commonly known as a hand support. But the hand support of this guy in front of him seemed a bit special. It was beautifully gilded with a circle of small diamonds. Behind him stood 3 men dressed in the same black attire. 2 of them were about the same height, and both of them were holding a black metal bat. While the other one was taller and burly. He was carrying a huge wooden stick on his shoulder. There were a lot of nails on it, like a mace. What the hell is this? What do you want? Without waiting for Lu Shaoxian to finish his question, the hand bracelet inlaid with beautiful diamond fragments had already solidly hit his chin. Severe pain hit him. Lu Shaoxian felt like his chin was hit head-on by a car. His whole body spun and flew out, followed by a few broken teeth. The group of scalpers behind him were all stunned. Everything happened too fast, like a flash of lightning. The one who punched was none other than Li Fan. He bent down and took out a registration slip from Lu Xiaoshuan's body. He handed it to the old farmer. Thank you for your kindness. The old farmer was overwhelmed with gratitude. Li Fan waved him off, telling him to hurry and bring his mother to the doctor. Fuck. Who are you people? We are from the yellow uniform group. Do you dare provoke us? The scalpers from the yellow uniform group shouted. They glared at Li Fan as if they wanted to scare Li Fan's group away with their stares. However, Li Fan and the other 3 did not say a word. With Li Fan in the lead, he clenched his fists and slowly walked toward the scalpers. The Devil's Incarnation and the 2 brothers, Lu Chang and Lu Zhuang, quickly followed. The 2 of them were like hungry wolves charging into a flock of sheep. The baseball bats in their hands were swung into a crescent moon shape, continuously hitting the scalpers. The sound of bones breaking and the screams of pain lingered in the air. The surrounding patients were shocked. What was going on? More than 10 men were being beaten up by 4 men in black. 3 or 4 of them wanted to run away, but the Devil's Incarnation, who was strolling around the periphery, used the mace in his hand to hit each of their thighs. All of them fell to the ground. Li Fan and his 3 companions could almost be said to be beating up the scalpers, making them wail like ghosts and howl like wolves, screaming incessantly. Those who wanted to get up and run were slapped back to the ground by the Devil's Incarnation. The nails on the mace cut into their flesh, causing them great pain and losing their ability to move. This state of chaos lasted for a whole 5 minutes. Soon, the sound of police sirens could be heard from outside. Li Fan whistled and the 4 of them walked out of the back door of the hospital unhurriedly. An old van with a license plate was parked outside the door. The door was already open. Li Fan and the rest sat in the van. Huang Lei immediately stepped on the accelerator. The van was like a hungry sow that had just been released from its cage. It sped away, leaving 2 rows of tire marks on the ground. The car drove into the darkness of the night as if it had never appeared before. 3 days passed. Wang Baiqiang from the yellow uniform group was about to explode. In these 3 days, his men had been ambushed countless times. Hospitals, bars, train stations, etc., no matter where he had arranged his forces, they had all been attacked crazily in just 3 days. Chapter 454. Just the 4 of them. Just the 4 of them. The 4 of them were like ghosts. Like rabid dogs. Every night, the four of them would appear out of nowhere and launch sneak attacks on the Yellow Shirt Syndicate's territory. This group of people, after beating up the scalpers in the hospital, immediately went to smash the bar they were watching. The scalpers at the train station, the patrolling at the market, the drug dealers at the bathhouse, no matter which force it was, as long as they belonged to the Yellow Shirt Syndicate, they would suffer a devastating blow. It was not that Wang Baiqiang was not angry, it was not that he did not want to interfere, but he could not. He only had so many men under him. Even if he could strengthen the security of one place, he could not strengthen all of them. The Yellow Shirt Syndicate's forces were too spread out. The four of them were like ghosts and their movements were irregular. There was no telling who they would attack next and where they would attack. The Yellow Shirt Syndicate members were on tenterhooks. Many members of the Yellow Uniform Regiment could not take it anymore. Many of them were so scared that they quit the Yellow Uniform Regiment. Although they could earn money, it was not enough to treat their own injuries. The Yellow Shirt Syndicate had suffered heavy losses. Brother Baiqiang, we're all brothers. Although there's a misunderstanding, how could I do such a thing? He called Yang Ruining, and this young master of the vanguard team expressed his condolences with a smile. If you need compensation, I'm willing to fork out some. Scram. Motherfucker. If I find out you're the one who did this, I won't let you off. Wang Baiqiang was losing his mind. He felt like he could go berserk at any moment. Brother. Mr. Sun is coming back soon, a subordinate beside him could not help but remind him. There's a plague in Australia. Mr. Sun said he's coming back to hide. Motherfucker, how am I going to explain this to Uncle? Wang Baiqiang was even angrier when he heard that. Who's messing with me? Who is it? There are so many of you and you've been beaten up so many times. Don't you know who they are? I'm sorry. Brother. The underling's face was full of shame. Those four people came and went like the wind. After beating people up, they left. Moreover, these four people's skills are not bad. We found some experts to suppress them, but they were all defeated. Useless. All of you are fucking useless. Wang Baiqiang roared. Get me the knife. Ah. The underling was shocked. Really want him back? Don't you understand Chinese? Wang Baiqiang grabbed the lackey's head with both hands. Find him. I want him to tear off their skin. But his case is too big. He's still hiding in the countryside. Didn't Big Brother personally order that he can't show his face for 10 years? Can't you learn from others? Wear a hat and a mask, understand? Wang Baiqiang gave him a kick. I raised a bunch of idiots. Hurry up and do it for me. Yes, Big Brother, the subordinate didn't dare to hesitate. He left Wang Baiqiang's office and immediately drove a black Camry out of the city. Along the way, he was very nervous, and his hands that were holding the steering wheel were trembling slightly. He only drove to 30 miles per hour, hoping that the road would be longer. But no matter how long it took, it would eventually come to an end. The Camry drove all the way to the Golden Village below City A. This Golden Village was a mix of urban and rural areas, and the people living there were very chaotic. Many criminals who had committed major and minor crimes in other places would live here incognito. And this was the purpose of the underling. He parked the Camry in front of a bungalow. After getting out of the car, there were two big men squatting next to it, smoking. One of them even glanced at him. The Yellow Uniform Regiment is handling matters. Unrelated people, get lost. The underling only said this casually, and the two big men immediately threw down their cigarettes, turned around, and left. The underling curled his lips, tidied up his clothes, and walked into the dilapidated small courtyard. The door of the courtyard was unlocked, and the door of the room inside was also unlocked. The underling frowned, pushed the door open, and entered. Dust and a stench assaulted his face. Fuck, the underling coughed twice, choking on the dust, and the stench made him breathless. And at this moment, a cold muzzle was pressed against the underling's chin. "Who asked you to come?" A voice appeared in the underling's ear, and he hurriedly said, "Brother Baiqiang asked me to come." The man put away the gun, and the underling finally heaved a sigh of relief. When he turned his head, he almost peed his pants. On the bed next to him, there was a slightly rotten female corpse. The stench was slowly emitting from it. "Not bad, my girl, right?" A dark and thin short man stood beside him, holding a 54 big black star in his hand. He grinned at the underling, his mouth full of yellow teeth. "At first, she didn't like me, so I could only forcefully bring her back." The dark and thin man licked his lips. "She's living quite well. Do you want to try?" "Forget it, that's good. If you like her, I can only kill you too." The dark and thin man said gently to the woman, "Look at you, there's a guest, and you don't know how to put on some clothes." He turned his head and said to the underling, "My woman is a little willful, please accommodate her. Don't look at her, or I'll dig your eyes out." The underling felt goosebumps in his heart. He did not dare to look at the rotten female corpse anymore, and quickly moved his gaze to the window. It was snowing outside the window. It seemed that it would be difficult to walk back. "Brother Baiqiang wants you to go back, didn't he not let me go out?" "I'll listen to Brother Baiqiang." The dark and thin man was called Dao Zi, and he was one of Wang Baiqiang's right-hand men. This person was very ruthless, and he also knew some martial arts. He helped Wang Baiqiang do a lot of dirty work. But later, this kid committed a big crime. He had a dispute with a bathing girl, and then he killed all the people in the bathing pool and raped and killed their girl. This matter was directly determined to be a big case. Wang Baiqiang tried his best to protect his right-hand man, and tried his best to send him to Russia to hide for a while. Recently, he returned to City A and hid for a period of time. But he did not expect that he had to get him out now, just to settle everything before Mr. Sun came back. If it wasn't to give Mr. Sun an explanation, perhaps Big Brother would not have found this lunatic at all. "Brother Baiqiang is looking for you. Don't let him wait too long." The underling could no longer stand the stench in the room. If he stayed for one more second, he would vomit out of disgust. "Got it, I'll say goodbye to my girlfriend first. Otherwise, if I leave for too long, she will definitely miss me." With that, Dao Zi leaned down and kissed the female corpse's mouth affectionately. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.